What's good, Fins Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, back with another one. I'm live here with Jason Sarney of FinManiacs.com. Say what up to the people, Jason.
What's up, Fin Nation? How's it going, everybody?
So me and Jason were just having not even a spirited, but an in-depth discussion about how this current schedule is shaping up. And guys, EM is going to join us in the next little bit. He's just out taking care of something right now. But Jason, ouch. I mean, we were talking about it, and I mean, when we look at the Patriots, the Bills, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, and the 49ers and the Broncos in the first 6 weeks, I see 2-4 as a real possibility here, Jason. What do you think?
It's a tough schedule. I believe you mentioned that they have the third toughest strength of schedule, and you look at the teams, and they open up extremely tough. You're going to have a Bill Belichick who's planning for this game right now. That's all he's doing. The only thing he cares about right now is the Dolphins, which is a very scary thing. And I'm terrified of Bill Belichick and the preparation, but I'm not terrified of his quarterback in Jared Stitham right now. And who knows if anybody else can come on in. But, I mean, I tweeted earlier, Reason, a very interesting – when the rumors started flying, the leaks came out, I immediately thought about how many times the Dolphins in team history have beaten the Patriots year to year at New England. And I know that, you could really say no matter what week they play, but it's fun to know right away if they could pull off a win right away week one against New England. There were only 4 other occasions where they've pulled off back-to-back wins seasonally on their trips to New England. And at the back end of those wins, they've made the playoffs at each of those times. 72-73, 89-90, 90 89-90, and then 94-95. This would be the fourth if they pull it off. So not many times, but it would be something to be said if they could win again, start 1-0. But like you said, it's going to be a lot tougher than that may seem. So hoping that they could maybe pull out another miracle win there. But you're right. It's a very tough start. And I think that we'll talk a little later on how it gets a little easier logistically, not necessarily with teams. But, I think the back end of the schedule really has, if you really want to look into it, the NFL is kind of saying something, I think, to the Dolphins when they're allowing them to stay home in December for 3 straight games against the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. That's 3 games to open up the cold months when you play in 3 Northeast opponent territories. So right away, you know that they're staying home against Cincinnati team. That could be a cold weather game. You're staying home against the Kansas City Chiefs, which could be a snow situation. And you're staying home against the Patriots, which could be another harsh weather. So they have 3 straight December home games. I've never seen that. So
that is in their favor for sure.
That's a terrific logistical. Here you go, Miami, to make up for. You might get your teeth kicked in the first 6 weeks. I mean, you're right. You're right, bro. I mean, you have the Patriots and the Bills. I think you're right in terms of the Bills are on the up. They're a good team. But I just think that there's something rotten in Denmark there that this whole division is looking at an 8-8 or 9-7 winner. So here's my question, or here's my theme. Even looking at this schedule, and I think it could be the theme for every single AFC East team. I'm going to use the Dolphins. Why not Miami? That's what I got.
Well, I mean, the Patriots do have the toughest schedule. I think their opponents have a winning percentage of 0.537, and our opponents, we have the third with 0.529, and the Jets have the second toughest with 0.533, and the Bills are all the way down at 7 with 0.525. So, I mean, it's a minuscule difference. I mean, between us and the Bills, it's, I believe, a 0.004%, right? But a 0.004 addition to what we have. But the thing is, bro, I look at it, okay, let's hypothetically say, okay, Robert Hunt wins the right tackle job because it already sounds like they're leaning that way. It already sounds like he has the leg up, and it hasn't even started yet. Okay, so let's say that happens. Let's say Jesse Davis loses to Kinley on the inside because of Kinley's side, and they really want to go to that power run scheme. And, I mean, look what Kinley offers, right? I mean, he's an absolute mammoth of a man. And then let's say Austin Jackson supplants Julian Davenport like we all expect. Here's what I look at. Week 1, going up to Bill Belichick's defense. Week 2, going up against a proven Bills defense. Week 3, we can handle the Jaguars. Week 4, we're going up against the Seahawks. We're probably going to end up bringing Clowney back. Let's all be realistic. And then week 5, we go against the 49ers, who I'll tell you right now, if those 3 rookie offensive linemen, I said this to Jason before we went live, if those 3 offensive linemen are on the line, you want to talk about growing pains, you're going to see it in that game. And then week 6, I really think people are sleeping on Drew Lock. I really think, he doesn't just have Cortland Sutton anymore. He has Melvin Gordon added to Phillip Lindsay in the backfield. And then offensively with Cortland Sutton, they've added KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. And then their defense is no slouch either, led by Von Miller. So, I really, and I mean, people are going to call me a Herbert hater. If Herbert's starting, between Herbert at week 7 and the Jaguars at week 3, I don't see a ton of we could get, we get Jarrett Stidham at Auburn. Okay, we have a chance. We get Jarrett Stidham at Baylor. It's going to be lights out, people. So that's what I'm sitting here saying, I don't think those first 7 weeks, those first 6-7 weeks, man, I really do not see it as an impossibility. I see it more as a possibility of going into that Chargers game at 2-4 than I do seeing us going at 4-2. Like, I really see, man, to me, if we came out of those first 6 games with a 3-3 record, I would give Flores a standing ovation, because I don't see the Bills and the Seahawks and the 49ers. Man, I see us getting curb stomped a little bit against the 49ers, brother. I think that could be very, very ugly. And then, the Chargers, okay, I think if we got a rookie Justin Herbert, our defense can handle that, but they do have weapons on both sides of the ball. Again, their defense is no slouch. Derwin James is going to be back. They got Bosa on one side, Melvin Ingram on the other side. You know what I mean? Like, they're no slouches. They got Desmond King out in the roam in the corner. They're no slouches. Then you go to the Rams. Defensively, they got Ramsey. I mean, he had an off season. The Rams, I kind of expect us to beat. The Cardinals, I've been saying it since TD Finn's talk, when we first figured out who our opponents were. Man, I still think now they've added DeAndre Hopkins, I think that offense is going to pose some real problems. And, here's the other thing when I talk about this schedule. Man, let me tell you this, Jason. Is it really that far-fetched if going into the Chargers game, going up against Herbert, let's say Herbert beats Tyrod, we're 2-4 or we're 1-5, people aren't screaming for Tua Tagovailoa, who has the 2 top-selling jerseys, aqua and white, in the NFL right now? You really don't think that could be a serious, serious issue? You don't think so?
Nope. And I'm going to give you a multi-layered reason why. Number one, if you're 1-4, 1-5, 2-7, you're great. You know why? Because we know there's a multi-year situation. So here's your scenarios. You throw Josh Rosen in there. And you know what? If he does well, your trade value goes up. But then if he has a stinker for 3 weeks, you just let the season end and you probably have a top 1 or 2 pick with your pick and then whatever Houston has. So you know what? You're already going to build for 2021 with a better situation at the line, a better defense, a better weaponry, and then Tua comes in all fresh and healthy. That could be one road that happens if you're going 2-4 or 2-5 or worse. I say you sit Fitz. Obviously, he's not cutting the mustard. So you put Rosen. You don't want to mortgage your future. Here's the second reason. You don't want to mortgage your future for 7 weeks because the jerseys are selling and everyone wants – stop with the immediate – I'm not saying you, Jordan. I'm not saying you stop, but everyone. Stop with the immediate gratification. We're in this for the long haul. We've made mistakes where, you know what, you bring in a veteran. You bring in someone, who has 6 years under the belt. Maybe this is the time to bring him in, Trent Green. No, Maybe this is the time Cutler figures it out. No, my point is you just let him sit. You let him learn. You let him gather that hunger. You let the hip heal. You let the line gel. You and I, and you reference now, if you have Hunt, if you have Jackson, if you have, 3 rookies on a line, Kinley, they might get crushed by a good defensive pass unit that's rushing them left, right, and up the middle, and cornerbacks going all over the place. I don't want to see Tua. I want to see him doing the most elaborate signals with his headphones on, so into it that you almost look like he's in the game. I want him talking. I want him going up and down. I want him being a team leader like a lot of other quarterbacks were for a couple of years, and they have rings on their fingers now. And Aaron Rodgers, a Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get multiple rings on his finger, and he sat for multiple weeks until week 17. Skipping ahead, we're not going to see Tua week 17 people in January in Buffalo.
Yeah,
so get that out of your minds
that's the one thing.
Now.
But you know what circles on the calendar, brother? If we're in bad shape, guys, if we have 2 or 3 wins by December 6th, you really don't think the pressure is even going to come down from the NFL rating-wise for now Tua versus Burrow on the national stage?
Okay, you think that Brian Flores gives a darn about what national pressure? No, because you have.
No, I'm talking about pressure from the league, because that happens. Yeah, that happens. I want people to realize in the comments, guys, that happens. That's legitimate. That happens.
I don't think it's good. Look, if the league has the next, Peyton Manning sitting because he's nothing but perfectly healthy, maybe I could see your point. But there is a legitimate, I'm going to use the word risk. There is a legitimate risk to play him. If he didn't get the hip injury and he was still the number 1 overall quarterback probably selected, maybe if he didn't get the hip injury, the Dolphins don't have him because he's a Bengal. Or you have to trade up so many picks where he doesn't have an offensive line to play behind. I truly believe you sit Tua for 2 more reasons. His benefit and the earned season, perhaps the last one of his career, that Ryan Fitzpatrick has. And it is earned of all the trust that he has gathered from the guys in the locker room. And if he goes out and stinks it up and it's 1-5, you bring in the next kid who they have to accumulate value for. If Josh Rosen rattles off 3 wins out of 4, and then all of a sudden people are talking, again, I've said this before, the greatest dilemma an NFL team could have are 2 viable quarterbacks going into another year. So you trade Rosen for a 3rd instead of what he's valued now is, a 6th? So I love what Ryan Fitzpatrick did. Do I think he's going to come on in and be, come on in and be like, Rich Gannon, and go to the Super Bowl finally? Probably not. But can he win 6, 7, 8 games and take this team into December with a viable chance at winning a mediocre division and maybe 8 or 9 wins or 10? Maybe. I think the Bills are maxing out at 9 wins. I truly do. I think the schedule is made for a back-end run for Miami after a kick in the mouth to open up the season.
I mean, yeah. I mean, people are sitting on the Raiders too, bro. I mean, before Josh Jacobs got hurt last year, I think the Chiefs and the Raiders and the man. I don't even like the last 4 games, brother. I see us.
They are tough, but when I look at Vegas, they're a wild card, no pun intended with them being out there. Another reason why you don't play Tua, you got a guy like Max Crosby who's chugging after the quarterback. You got a viable pass rusher there. I think they could literally go into that game with 6 wins or 7 wins. They could. They could sweep the Jets. You could beat LA. Here's the LA Rams situation. They're coming out from West all the way to Florida. They're on the 1:00 schedule, so their bodies are at breakfast. Yeah. I mean, that's the,
Right. Yeah.
Let's say they're 2-5 or 3-4 at that Rams game. That could be the game that everyone says, all right, the Rams are favored by 3. everyone thinks that the home team should already be favored. But you know what? The Dolphins win in overtime. Dolphins win on a Jason Sanders field goal. And then Brian Flores says, we finished the first half of the season at 500. We finished the first half of the season one game below 500. What are you going to do next? We got to go out to Arizona. What are you going to do? You know? And then they have the Jets at home after a road trip. They don't have until week 16 a road trip. Road, home.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. 5 and 6. Week 5 and 6. They go to San Fran and they go to Denver. Sorry about that. But it has been worse. They've had to go out west 2 weeks in a row, come back home. They've had to go to New York, back to New York. They've had to do tons of stupid things logistically. At least that is in their favor this year. At least.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I was telling guys, Jason, I see the best case scenario. Man, it's looking like a 7-win season at best case for me. I can see why, why Vegas and why some of the, you go to the mock drafts and such, and why some of the odds makers aren't that high. It's more so for me the way the schedule fell. Like, I look at the schedule, and you know what the thing is for me? Next to the Chargers and the Rams, or next, to the Jets back to back, I don't see a ton of rhythm where they can pick up 3-4 wins in a row. Because right. I don't think they're going to beat the Jets, and then the Bengals. I think they're going to lose one of those in those three. You know what I mean? I think they're going to split with the Patriots. I believe that. I don't see us beating the Chiefs. I think the Raiders are going to give us a problem. I've been saying since the schedule came out since our opponents came out, that I think the Bills are going to sweep us. I could see us sweeping the Jets. I just don't see, that 4-game swing where it really puts us in the driver's seat. You know what I mean? And that's my issue when I look at this. Like, let me put it this way. If we start out 1-4 in our first week, there's only 16 games. You're already starting off putting you in a hole. And if you start off 1-3, you're probably going to start off 1-4 because you're going to lose to the 49ers. Unless God forbid, something happens to Jimmy G. So that's where I'm at with that. Like, I think people are really sleeping on the Broncos. I think the Chargers, I don't expect much from Herbert this year, but I think on both sides of the ball, they're very talented. I think the Rams are just a disaster, so no problem. I think the Cardinals, I think they're going to be a big problem. The Jets, I could see us sweeping, but then I could see us coming back up that momentum and losing to the Bengals, man, because if Joe Burrow shows any semblance of what he was in the SEC, he has a very, very good supporting cast. I think the Chiefs are going to, like I told you before, I think they're going to bend us over. The Patriots, either that's going to be the winner, that's going to be the loss. And then I really do see us ending the season with 2 straight losses, man. Unless, and this is based, guys, off Fitzpatrick playing the whole year. Okay, this is not based off.
That's what I'm basing it on. I'm basing it on Fitz the whole year. Yeah.
So I do see. I don't see. There's the reason why this is the 3rd toughest schedule in the NFL. I just think I don't see a lot of slack in the schedule. Like, I don't see. I see if you get behind the schedule, it's going to be very, very hard to dig yourself out of that hole. That's my problem when I look at the schedule.
I see what you see with look, if you're driving on a highway, there's like 4 potholes in the schedule, at least. The pothole number 1 is the Seahawks, because that could really drive your season off the rails with 2 or 3 straight losses. And I'm putting that back and forth with the Jaguars, the Niners. You could really rattle off, let's say they beat the Jaguars for their first win of the year.
I think that would be demoralizing if we lost to the Jaguars in prime time.
What I'm saying is, if they start off 0-2,
you have to win that 3rd game, brother.
You have to win that 3rd game.
Yeah.
Now, the Dolphins, another thing that I went back and forth to seasonally, in their history. They've 5 times have opened up in their franchise history against the Bills.
Yeah.
They've lost 3 of those times. In 89, they lost. They opened up. I remember home openers. Lost in 89. They won in 90. They won in 98. They lost in 2006 and lost in 2015. So if I'm playing a roulette table, I'm playing the W, just because it looks nice to get a W. But, to open up against Buffalo early could be a disadvantage for Miami. It can, because Buffalo's playing to prove things, and they could start off 2-0, and they could start off in the driver's seat. So if you want to think about going 1-3, it could get ugly to 1-5. It could. But then if you want to think that maybe
buddy, I'm telling you, like,
it could.
If that happens, the nightmare we're all afraid of with Tua, I think becomes a bigger and bigger reality in terms of him seeing playing time if we're 1-5 or 1.
All right, so let me ask you this. They're 1-5, and then everyone's saying we need to see Tua. And then Von Miller just happens to.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Jason. We're not taking the training camp into account. What if Tua looks amazing in training camp? I mean,
if that happens, we'll talk about it.
No, but I'm just saying the kid's known for memorizing an offensive playbook in a night. The guy's one of the best, if not the best, RPO quarterback I've ever seen. We're going to be RPO heavy. If this kid's picking things up like a snap of a fingers, and we're 1-6, bro. I'm telling you, man, it's going to be a freaking issue, man. I don't want this kid to see the field, and I think it's good, bro. I'm telling you, man, if this guy looks 110%, and the doctors are giving him 110% check, because now he's in the hands of the Dolphin doctors, and on the field, and in the chalk room, he's performing just as good, or if not better than Fitzpatrick, bro. We're up that creek with no paddle in year 1. I'm telling you right now, bro. But
I don't see the advantage. So what does he rattle off and go,
I don't see it either, bro.
Does he rattle off and go 8-3, or does he take the beating for another couple of months just to take a beating, just so everyone is happy to root for him?
Well, let me hit you with this. The Bengals game, right?
Okay. I don't care about the number 1 quarterback versus the number 2 quarterback.
No. That has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
So with the Bengals game, right? So let's say we're what? Okay, let's say we're 3-8.
3-8.
Yeah, we're 3-8. Let's say we're 3-8. Okay, this has nothing to do with Joe Burrow, but let's say
4-8. Say 4-8. No, it'll be 3-8. It'll be 3-8.
Yeah,
you're right.
3-8. So let's say we're 3-8. Okay, and like I said, Fitzpatrick has looked better. Tua has looked better in practice. Tua has been just as sharp, if not sharper, in terms of in the room of picking stuff up, okay? Take away the fact that the Joe Burrow versus Tua thing, right? Don't you think at 3-8, the season's kind of a wash?
Which is great.
Rosen might be gone by then, because Rosen or Ruddock are going to be out of here, and Ruddock got signed to a futures contract, so that ain't that great for Rosen. So let's say Rosen's out of here, okay? And let's not even say we're seeing Fitztragic. Let's say Fitzpatrick gets hurt. You really don't think if he's hurt by that time, they're just going to turn to Tua to see what they have for a game or two to finish the season out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5 games left on the schedule, not having to endure. And let's say we're 3-8 because before Fitzpatrick got hurt, we were seeing Fitztragic, but it's now the second half of the season, and we are starting to see the progress you want to see in offensive line with new players and veterans who are just signed coming together in terms of gelling, because usually if there's growing pains with an offensive line, you're probably going to see them more so in the first half of the season. And then by the end of the season, like what we saw last year with our offensive line, they started getting progressively better with each game. So if the Bengals come up, Fitzpatrick is out, not able to play, and our offensive line has totally gelled, and if the offensive line is not the issue, you really don't think that, bro? I'm telling you, I'm worried. I am scared.
I don't want to see Tua.
I'm telling you, bro, it's not about what we want to see, bro.
It's about what the Dolphins want too.
Exactly.
It's not about what the NFL wants to see. It's not about what the fans want to see.
The 2021 draft is very, very deep.
That's what I'm saying. I know. I don't want to see Tua play it down. And here's why. Because if you're 3-8 or worse, you just have no reason to play him. There's no reason. And another reason is that look at what happened to the number 1 and number 2 quarterbacks of the last 5, 6, 7 years. Mariota is gone. He's number 2. The number 1 quarterback that year lost his job. Cam Newton, a lot of years, did well, but he's the number 1 quarterback. Now he's looking for a job. You rush these guys, they don't become the franchise quarterback that you need them to be.
But I'm also not talking about a day 1.
Joe Burrow, Herbert's not starting from day 1. Herbert's not starting from day 1.
Joe Burrow is starting. I don't think
Herbert
is. Joe Burrow.
I don't think we see Herbert. I don't think we see Herbert.
Oh, you see Herbert this year, 110%.
No.
Tyrod Taylor is not.
We in the Dolphins.
That's the sweet spot to see him. That's the sweet spot to see him. That is the sweet spot to see him with how much talent is on that team. If they're 3-3, they can't afford with all the talent. And I'm telling you, Anthony Lynn, his ass is on the hot seat right now. He don't have a long time to go. And
you don't rush a quarterback. I don't think you rush a quarterback.
Yeah, but
I'm going to stick with it.
And I agree with that. But what we think and what we agree on, that's not how the NFL works right now. Right. Take Josh Rosen, for example. Listen, Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers are out, and Lamar Jackson are outliers. And even still, Mahomes in his first year saw the field. Lamar Jackson in his first year
week 17
saw the field. Lamar Jackson in his first year
saw the field week 17. Mahomes saw the field week 17. That's fine. But you're not going to throw in Tua a week 17 in an ice bowl in Buffalo. So let's throw that out right now. So if it was a home game against the Bengals week 17, yes, Burrow Tua bowl, sure. But the cookie doesn't crumble that way. And in terms of what Lamar Jackson did by seeing the field, he was a gadget guy. He played a little bit quarterback, a little bit.
Bro, he started. They went to the playoffs. He was a starting quarterback.
Not his rookie year, second year. Second year.
I got to double check that because I'm pretty sure.
He wasn't a rookie. He was a second year. Correct? Right? They wanted him the year they drafted Rosen, not the.
I'm pretty sure he saw the first round of the playoffs that year and lost.
As a rookie quarterback starting from jump?
Yeah, in 2018. 14 of 29, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He didn't play the whole season as a starting quarterback. That's what I'm saying. He didn't come in. He started 7 games as a quarterback.
That's what I'm sitting here saying.
But he didn't have a health problem.
Brother, Tua's even saying, and his doctors are telling me he's going to be 110% by day 1.
But that doesn't mean you throw him out there. Aaron Rodgers didn't play week 1.
I'm telling you right now, the one thing in the end, and heed my words right here, the one thing in the NFL you don't have is time.
What?
Name it. We just named a whole bunch of. We just named a whole bunch of quarterbacks that busted out because they were
thrown in too early. I need to relax. We need to relax, everyone. I'm begging you. Relax.
Dude, it's not to the people I'm talking about. I'm not talking about.
Well, the organization. I'm going to guarantee you this.
Coaching staff.
I'm going to guarantee you this. The organization is not going to risk to see Tua on the field for a chance to ruin the next 12 years because this doesn't matter. They're still building. They are still building. They didn't get rid of any of those other picks for next year. They didn't get rid of any other capital.
So hold on. Let me hit you with this then. You're 8-3. You're 8-3. Fitzpatrick goes down. Bro, I'm telling you, Rosen's gonna be gone, brother. I'm telling you right now, Rosen's gonna be gone.
For what? Without seeing him right now, what's his value?
What's his value? You could probably get a 6th or 7th for him.
Why would you even do that?
Because it's probably not going to get better than that.
Because you have him as a backup quarterback or a third stringer under 2 years control.
Jake Ruddick is going to be the number 2 guy.
But right now you have Fitzpatrick as your starter. You have Rosen as your backup, and then you
can't even say that right now, bro.
Fine, you have a quarterback room of Fitzpatrick, Rosen, and Tua with Ruddick as a developmental. All right. So
and Ruddick can't be put back. Designated back to the practice squad,
which is fine.
They're not going to cut him. I'm telling you right now, they did not sign him to a futures contract to cut him. And you're not going to care. You're not going to carry 4 quarterbacks going into the season. That's unheard of.
They're not going to get any value. If they have to cut Ruddock just to cut him because they have a viable quarterback room of those 3, they will. They're not married to anybody. They can't get value for Rosen right now. There's no need to trade him for a 6th or a 7th. I don't think he's going to beat out Fitzpatrick.
But it's not going to get better than that 6th and the 7th is what I'm saying.
Like I said, if you have a 3-8 team, you put in Josh Rosen because you need – because right now –
I put in Jake Ruddock. Buddy, I'm putting in Jake Ruddock over Josh Rosen.
Why? There's no point to that.
What is the point with Josh Rosen? All you're going to do
is see if he can put up value.
Look, bro, you're going to end up with no draft pick. You're going to end up with a tackle.
I don't care about a 6th or 7th. Right now, if I'm dealing with this quarterback room or I like to jump into what I would do if I'm running the team. That's what I love to try to jump. I could be dead wrong, but if I'm pulling the strings, I don't want to see in the field because I want the Dolphins back to the days of 10 wins.
No one's disagreeing with you in that sense.
Right. And I don't think the Dolphins are thinking differently.
I'm telling you, and I mean, we could put money on it.
I don't think they're thinking differently.
We could put money on it. I'm telling you, Tua will see the field this year.
If it's the money in terms of he'll see the field as in his toe will step on the field one way, shape, or form.
He will have at least a quarter
but that's fine. But listen, here's what I don't want to see. Reliance on the Messiah a year earlier. What I don't want to see is everyone banging their fist. We want Tua. We want backside bandit blitz.
I don't know why you're saying you don't want. You're going to see it in training camp.
I don't care. I don't.
Yeah, but you're saying you don't want to see it. I'm telling you, you're going to see it.
I know. Trust me. I don't want to see half the things I see in this fan base on Twitter or on social media.
Oh, you're going to see it everywhere. It's not just going to be on social media.
Yeah. I want to sort of sing Kumbaya, roast s'mores, and play on an acoustic guitar, but it's not going to ever happen. We're going to win a Super Bowl, and someone's going to say, Tony Sparano would have been able to win with this team. Are you kidding me? Wanstead never would have been able to win with this team, and it's going to be crazy. Tua does not belong on the field unless you throw him for a gadget wildcat just to stand there looking like Joe Flacco. That's the bet I'll take with you. That's the Tua will step on the field.
No, he is gonna throw a football on an NFL field this year.
All right, over under of my happiness. Over under 11 throws, 10.5. I'm taking the under.
Bro, go ask all the people who wanted Herbert. It isn't about our happiness.
Who wanted Herbert?
Oh, buddy. Don't even, dude. Here, let me hit you up with this. Let me hit you up with this.
Herbert?
Because we're talking about social media. This dude, that Cam Eggs dude, who's now at Tua gang. Dude, that guy was getting into arguments with people over Herbert, and he was trying to drag people over Herbert and defending Herbert. And now that we took Tua, he's all of a sudden become the biggest Tua fan on social media. It's disgusting to watch. So all I'm sitting here and saying is, bro,
let me tell you something.
It's not about what we want. I'm telling you. Listen to me, bro. I played the game.
No,
if the coach sees him keeping up in the chalk room and performing on the field, and something happens with Fitzpatrick, you're gonna see Tua at some point. It's not about what we believe, because me, everyone I know who's sane agrees. You can shake your head, bro. I'm telling you what's gonna happen. Well, because everyone agrees we don't want this kid to see the field. But I'm telling you right now, if he outperforms, it's Fitzpatrick's job to lose. Fitzpatrick's earned the chance to be the starter opening day. That's not even up for debate in my world. But I'm telling you, if you see Fitz tragic, and if you see him get hurt, and through training camp, Tua look like just as strong or the stronger quarterback on the field, you're gonna have an issue with that situation, because I don't think Josh Rosen's going to be here after the trade.
Here's my thing. And I'm going to announce, and I see EM, and I want him to jump in. What's going down, EM? But
how you doing, Jason?
I'm good. I'm in a good riled up way because I like where we're going.
I see you.
I love where this team is going. So I got an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. All right. I want Tua throwing when I'm sending my 8-year-old to college. All right, for the Dolphins. I want Tua at my 4-year-old's bar mitzvah. All right. I can't get that, by the way. I'm not going to be able to get that. But I basically want to see Tua for 15 years. And we can't rush. We can't rush because Peyton Manning, when was his first Super Bowl win? John Elway, when was his first Super Bowl win?
Listen, though, Jason, and I'm just not singling you out, but I hear a lot of fans within our community, the Dolphins community, they want to take that same approach with Tua. They don't want to see him at all because of the fear of him, him getting hurt and jeopardizing the next 15 years. Fear. But see, I just don't get that, man. You can't take that approach in a game of football, bro.
In a 2-year rebuild, you can. In a rebuild, you can.
Listen. If the man, and I'm 100% in agreement with Reason on this. If this kid is 150% healthy and he is lighting it up in practice and in training camp, bro, and again, I want to preface everything before with this. I feel that Ryan Fitzpatrick should be the starter based off what he put on film last year. Okay, that's number one. But two, in the event, in a scenario where we're 8-3, and we're legitimately can potentially make the playoffs, and Tua is performing like that in practice, he's outperforming Josh Rosen and Jake Bruddick, and he's lighting it up at practice, bro. There is no way in the world you do not put him out there.
I'll tell you
again, ideally, I don't want to see that scenario play out because I want him to be 200% healthy before you actually put him out there and he assumes that responsibility. But in that scenario, I'm in agreement with Reason, bro. There's no way you go with a player that's performing at a that's not performing up to his level.
And I also said week 12, and we're 3-8, or we're 8-3, and the offensive line is not a problem. I also said that in all fairness. But I'm not saying. See, I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm saying this is what I'm telling you right now, this will be on the table, and this will be a legitimate option.
If we're watching Tua in practice, and the rumors are that he's Steve Young, that he's the next Steve Young, he is the left-handed Russell Wilson. He makes Pat Mahomes' practices look like Donald Duck. If you really think he's going to be that good, if this kid is that good, I would like people to directly call me and say, ha, 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 ha. I don't want him to be bad, but if we're in the age of now, I don't think it's going to happen now. If it happens in a year, that's great. But if you guys think you're setting your expectations up too high, if I see Tua that amazing in practice, and if he comes in week 7 and lights up the world, I'd be the happiest person in the world for people to say you were wrong. But I'm not wrong in the sense that I want to see.
I'm telling you right now, Jason, he's going to outperform.
I'm not telling you this. What if he's not getting the timings? What if he's not getting the progressions? What if he's not getting
this offense? Chan Gailey's offense, now that he's especially adding the RPO, is like identical to what Steve Sarkisian ran at Alabama.
I think it
is a very
any franchise
terminology and everything.
This team has no player other than Ryan Fitzpatrick over 30. They're not here to win in 2020. They're here to win 3 bowls in 2022 to 2027. They're here for a dynasty this decade. They need to gel. You can't put Tua in on the 31st or the 28th or the 13th best offensive line yet. They're not anything.
Hold on. I said the offensive line wasn't a problem when they put him in. So that was the scenario I told you. And I also said December. I'm not saying October, November, September. I'm saying December. And that's all I'm saying, near the end of the season. That's all I'm saying here. I think you're at least gonna, even if he doesn't start games, you were going to see Tua come in, and me and him have had this discussion. You're going to see him get the Mahomes treatment. What was the Mahomes treatment in the last couple of games of his rookie season? He was coming in when they were blowing teams out up by 2 touchdowns.
I think that's a bit. I think in terms of how they,
that's the most ideal because we're winning.
I think that's the best approach. I think that is the best approach in terms of integrating Tua into this offense. I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, because we're winning, right? And
Who are we blowing out?
We ain't blowing out anyone. Maybe the Jaguars at week 3, but he ain't coming in.
Man, bro, all this pessimism, I tell you, man. I don't know if I can. Hey, my God.
It's not pessimism. This is what I want to take. This is not pessimism. Here's my best case scenario. The team gels. The offensive line gels. They go through a mediocre up and down, 5-6, 7-6, 6-7, whatever. But the team looks good. Ryan Fitzpatrick is limping through to try to get finished, and they end up 7-9. But you know what? 13th best offensive line. The running attack wasn't bad. And you know what? Tua got a couple of throws. He went 7 out of 10 with a touchdown. Yay. And then 2021, let's go. All systems go. It's not pessimism. It's I want to build my house and not build my entertainment room.
Dude, everyone's in agreement. Yo, Jason, everyone's in agreement with you in terms of him seeing a limited amount of time.
Right. No,
but we're not thinking about what we want. We're thinking about the realistic outlook of what this coaching staff is going to be.
Exactly.
I don't think so, bro. I'm telling you right now. Like, I think you're really sleeping on the fact of if he has a really good training camp, which he's going to have in this.
I'm not saying anyone's going to have anything. I'm not saying anyone's going to have anything.
Okay, well, I'm going out there and I'm telling you he's going to have a really good training camp. So, and I'll put money on anyone who wants to take that bet right now.
How do you quantify that? But how do you quantify that?
What do you mean? How do I quantify that?
Good night, everyone.
Good night. What's going on, Sheree? I can easily quantify that.
How you doing, bro?
If he makes the second string, if he
he's gonna see. I'm telling you right now, if he's healthy enough, he's gonna see first team offensive snaps in training camp just because they're gonna want to see what they have. It's not a matter of him starting, but he's gonna get snaps with the first team. And if he's on time, his ball placement is perfect, and we see what we saw in college, it's gonna be an issue. And when they run that RPO, if they really RPO heavy, dude, no one's gonna beat Tua in that room in an RPO heavy scheme. It's just not gonna happen.
Listen. You're forgetting about how Flores, what he is all about, Jason. He is about the best players, the best 11 guys on the field, on defense and on offense. And I'm telling you now, again, I'm not saying that's what I want. Ideally, I hope Fitzpatrick goes through the entire season he improves upon next year, and we have a winning season, and we don't see Tua until next year. But I'm just saying, you know, that's a realistic possibility that Tua, that scenario plays out. Ryan Fitzpatrick could revert back to Fitztragic. He could get hurt. We all know how the season unfolds. There's so many variables that go into a season. So, but we're just saying, in the event that scenario comes to fruition.
In the event
that scenario comes to fruition, we're 8-3.
Jason,
that's a realistic possibility. And I'm just saying.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
No, I hope we're wrong. I hope we're wrong, and he doesn't see the field. I don't know.
Exactly.
And he's going to be ready in a Messiah right away. See, I don't.
No, I hope he kills it in training camp. But then
that's two good scenarios.
And I hope Fitzpatrick puts a cap on that, and we know we had something good in training camp.
Let me get something straight. First off, I'm not labeling this kid as a Messiah. I'm not doing that. So I'm going on record right now. I'm not labeling this kid as a Messiah. I'm just saying, all he has to do is beat out Josh Rosen and Jake Ruddock. How difficult is that going to be, really?
It's not a matter of beating it out right at the moment. I truly don't think if there wasn't an injury, because I don't care what any doctor says about being 100% cleared, there is a situation that happens. So mentally, there's going to be a potential worry about there might be a mental aspect of that area of getting hit.
But what if Chris Greer addressed that, 2 weeks ago 3 weeks ago before the draft. When you can't take that approach in a game of football, worried about a player getting hurt. Players get hurt. That's what they do.
I know that. But when there's a higher risk factor, look, if there's a higher risk factor,
Scared money don't make money. Scared money don't make money.
I don't, bro. I'm not in the business of babying anybody and taking an approach of, oh, I'm so scared.
When it wins Green Bay and Kansas City championships, I'll take that approach all day. All day. I'll take
I'm sorry.
Aaron Rodgers. I'll take Mahomes all day.
But again, like y'all said, y'all are bringing up scenarios where quarterbacks have sat for a certain amount of time. Y'all brought up, but there have been in the NFL history, there have been successful quarterbacks that started day one. So you can make that argument from both sides of the spectrum. So I just don't understand that approach to where me personally,
I also said, the quarterbacks we named busted out. The majority of them started day one. In my scenario, Tua isn't seeing the field till December. So there's a totally different that's a totally different dynamic, man. So, but anyways, let's get to the other people here. Let's get to Sharif first. Sharif, what's going on, buddy? Sharif? All right, that's the bond. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, yo? I heard a little bit about what you guys
were discussing.
Yeah, man. Those are good. Those are really good scenarios, man. I just for me, it's all about the O-line. I know that's when these scenarios are going to be very realistic. But I mean, it was almost comedy last year seeing Fitzpatrick run for his life. You know what I mean? I mean, you could throw on the film from last year and just watch him run for his life, and it's hilarious, man. But in a way, it's like
guys may have come up.
I think Sharif's trying to say something.
Hey, man.
Are you there, Sharif?
Can you hear us?
He's freezing because he's talking, but he's
Sharif, are you good? Right, Sharif's freezing up. Yo, Sharif, you're freezing up, man, and I don't know if you're hearing it.
You might want to back out and come back in.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, man, that's my only thing is I'm really, looking at the schedule, honestly, I could see the first 5 games us going 2-3 or 3-2.
Oh, my God. This pessimism is killing me. Wow. This is
realism. It's realism, man.
Okay.
I wasn't even done. I wasn't even done. I'm saying just solely based on the O-line coming together and having a run game. I mean, if we have those phases of our offense going, then sky's the limit. You know what I mean? I think we could take any of those teams. And the Seahawks, they're very bipolar. They can look good. They're just like the Cowboys. They'll look good against good competition, but against lesser competition, they let their guard down.
They got significantly weaker as well on the O-line, and also they had to sign Clowney back.
They're going to bring him back.
Clowney back.
He's coming back. I'll guarantee that.
During this process, every year, okay, I hear the same issues. This is my approach to the schedule being released every year. I never go by. I look at the schedule and I evaluate it. I never go by what teams did last year because there's a thing called free agency that happens every single year. Teams get weak. Teams lose players. Teams get weaker. Teams acquire players. Teams get better. So I'm looking at all of the additions that we made through free agency alone. From a matchup standpoint, okay, we beat New England last year with the team that we had last year with the worst rushing game in 100+ year history of the NFL. We got significantly better on the O-line through free agency and the draft, and we don't even want to mention the additions we made on the defensive side of the football. You saw the problems that we gave New England last year with Tom Brady in New England the last game of the year. And we got a significant upgrade on our defense. You mean to tell me that New England, you're sitting up here saying that you're fearful of New England when we got significantly better and they got significantly weaker? Wow. Let's go to Buffalo. last year in Buffalo. Last year in Buffalo.
Oh, we're not looking at last year, bro.
I'm talking about when we played at home.
We're not looking at last year.
When we played in Buffalo. What's that? What's that?
I thought we're not looking at last year, though, bro.
What's that?
You preface.
No. Listen. I'm talking.
Your soliloquy with last year doesn't matter.
I know reason. I know. I understand that it doesn't matter, but what I'm saying, the additions, and what did I say after that? The additions we made, okay, we got significantly upgraded at several positions on our defense and offensive line last year.
We got 3 games better.
What I mean by, listen.
They got 3 games better.
I'm just saying
They're an 8-8 team.
What you're talking about. Okay, whatever.
They're better.
So you're fearful of Buffalo?
They're better. They are better. They are 100% better.
Hey, Buffalo had a lot of.
Week 3 in Jacksonville.
Than last year.
Dude,
Week 3 in Jacksonville.
I put the Jacksonville to win.
Think. Yeah, they could win that. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, they can win any game. We know that. They did get better, EM, and it's not pessimism. It's realism. They had the 3rd hardest schedule in the league. That's just fact. They could win. The Jaguars.
Based off what teams did last year. Again, teams
but if
lose
the Dolphins
players every year, teams acquire players every year.
But Dolphins aren't the only other team to improve.
No, that's what I just said. No. I think New England got significantly weaker. I think Buffalo probably be the same, maybe. I don't see how they significantly upgraded their team in the offseason. You know Jacksonville is garbage. Seattle got weaker on the offensive line. We don't know if Davion Clowney is coming back with them. See, I'll give you San Francisco. Okay? Denver, Drew Lock is putting the fear down in you right now with this secondary.
The receivers are.
Good luck with that.
Buddy, look at how
The receivers are scaring the heck out of me.
Stop it.
Melvin Gordon, Philip Lindsay, Jerry Jeudy, Sutton, and KJ Hamler.
Stop it.
All right, I gotta be honest.
Stop it.
All right.
And their defense is good.
Look, man, this is all I got to say. The games that I gave consideration to on whether, we would win or lose, all had to do with coaching.
EM thinks we're going to have a perfect season, bro.
Right.
I didn't say that. Did I say that? Did you hear me? When did you hear me say that?
How can you roll through the first 5 games and say, I only give you the 49ers, basically?
Realistically, I think our record, the first 5 games will be 3-2. And maybe we can steal that game in Seattle.
Look, man, these are the only games that concern me. The games that have continuity with coaches and certain players, and the games that I looked at when I saw the schedule, and I'm like, okay, that's one the highlight on the schedule would be most of the NFC West games. I would say San Fran, the Rams. And the last game, because we're playing at Buffalo, we're playing on the road. That's it. Those are the only ones that I would specifically highlight as, potential games that, you could say this, these are going to these games
on that list, brother.
I'm sorry.
What's that?
You might want to throw the Chiefs on your list, Esteban.
Well,
yeah. I'm sorry. Okay, I haven't memorized the schedule. Yes, you're right, Reason. Yeah, that's all. That's also, that's what. But I'm just talking about what I take into consideration is coaching, and players coming back, particularly 1 or 2 really good players on either side of the ball. Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm considering. To be honest, man, I could see us going 11-5. Possibly. We just got, honestly, it's just a big question mark. For me, the big question mark is our offensive line and running the ball. That's it. Once we get that together, the defense, I have no question that's going to be our strength. It's just the offensive line and running the ball.
I don't know
That's
about
it.
I agree. If we can get an average running game to go with what we have at the skill positions, I'm telling you right now, bro, 10 wins is extremely realistic. I'm telling you what. I'll give you Seattle, San Francisco, the Chiefs. Those 3 teams. I'm gonna be honest with that. we can go in that week. We can go into the week that we play them, and I'm like, well, man, I'm a little worried. I'm a little concerned about the outcome of that game. But every other team, bro, I'm telling you, they're not putting the fear of God in my heart. I'm sorry.
Let me say something real quick.
How we match up based off of the.
Let me say something real quick. And I think this is important. I think and every fan's different, and there's no right, there's no wrong. It's setting expectations. What are my expectations about me as a fan? What will make me happy versus what might make my younger brother happy? Every year, my younger brother says Super Bowl. Every year. Doesn't matter because he's an idiot. I love him, but he's an idiot. I love my little brother, and he knows that I'm kidding. Jared, I'm kidding. But every year, we're going to the Super Bowl. And I've always been, we're 8-8 this year. But other years, I'm annoyed with the mediocrity. Last year, we had the worst roster in the league. Yeah, last year we were tanking. Lo and behold, we win 5 games. Lo and behold, Coach Flores shows us some inspiration. We beat New England. Now, what's my expectation? EM, would I be happy with 8 or 9 wins? You're darn right I would be. Is it good enough to win this division? Maybe. So there's no pessimism there. Would I be upset at 7 and 9? Let me see how they won and lost those games. Let me see what happened with the division winner. If we lost 2 games really poorly and the Bills won at 8-8, I'm pissed off. But if the Bills are great and they win 12 games or 11 games and then the Pats win 9 and we win 7 and the Jets win 6, but we're looking good, let's roll for 2021 with Tua, without Tua for anything in 2020. I am not looking.
You just want to see progress. Everyone wants to see progress.
That's all I want because the bar is not set for the playoffs this year. It's foolish
but
to
listen,
think that way.
listen.
I'm not thinking
progress.
No, don't say it's foolish. Tell that to Brian Flores. That's not foolish. That's not
foolish. What are you talking about, bro? No one said foolish. I said 7 and 9 is progress.
No. Jason just said it's foolish to think that way, to have that mindset.
As a fan.
To think Super Bowl this year is foolish.
Brian Flores and Bill O'Brien are going into wanting to win every game.
Yeah.
But realistically, you can't win every game.
No, he said his brother thinking Super Bowl is every year is foolish.
I'm joking about my brother.
Yeah, he didn't
I
say.
thought he.
You gotta let me finish my flow, and then I'll let you go. But the fact of the matter is that it's progress. Last year was about progress. Were they the worst team in the league? No, they were not. They were one of the better coached teams in the league. Balanced out, they won 5 games. You get 10 free agents. You bring in 13 rookies. You trade in for, whatever the math is. You trade in for Breida, 23 new players, whatever the heck it is. Will they win more than 5 games? Yes. Am I betting that they're going to win more than 6? Yes. My number is 7 to 8. 7 to 8.
Yeah, that's what
that is progress.
Initially I said 7 to 10.
You can't say 7 to 10.
Okay, hold on. Let's get some other people. People have been sitting down here, so hold on a sec, man.
I wanted to throw one monkey wrench in there real quick. What do y'all think if we get Clowney? If we get Clowney, then what are your expectations?
We're not getting Clowney, bro. Okay, so Dolphins piece. Let's hear from you, bro. What do you got to say?
Hey, what's up, man? I was here the whole time listening. A couple things. I don't think that the main thing that we have to remember is Flores wants to win, and that's it. That's his goal. That's what he's gonna do, is train everybody to win. I played this game. They're gonna fight like hell every single week to win, and whoever puts the best chance to win those football games in, he's gonna play. I think there's a couple spots. Obviously, as a fan, we all want Tua to sit for the year, just so we can hold on to our prized possession that we just got. But I think reality is we still have 2 1s and 2 2s next season, and they want to find someone to take the bull by the horns pretty much and be the franchise quarterback by then. And I think there's with 100% you're going to see Tua this year at some point, whether he's ready or the O-line is ready or anybody else is ready. A couple spots I saw on the schedule that definitely piqued my interest for Tua possibly coming in. Not only the one I think reason you already said was week 12 against the Jets after the bye week, but another one that piques my interest a little bit is Week 7 with the starting with the Chargers. If you look, we have 3 or 4 at home. You got the Chargers, you got the Rams, then you have that one road game against the Cardinals. Then you got the Jets again at home. I mean, I see us honestly going 9-7, 10-6. I think a big spot is the passing league, and we improved our secondary greatly. Absolutely great. I think Byron Jones was a huge addition. And especially as long as Xavier Howard is healthy on the field, that's a huge thing. Because then he's the playmaker that's going to force Byron Jones is going to force that ball over to his side. So I think that's a big thing, guys. Tua, I agree with Reason almost on everything he said. Honestly, Tua is going to outperform everybody in training camp and in preseason, and the hype is real around this guy. I mean, around Miami, there hasn't been a star power from what I've seen already since Dwayne Wade and LeBron was in Miami, to be honest with you. There's a lot of star power with Tua. So, but yeah, I see us going 9-7, 10-6. I do think we start the year strong, actually, a little bit. Those first 3 games, I feel like we're going 2-1, if not 3-0. So
if we have significant improvement in a run defense and we have an average running game, those win totals are extremely realistic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Havoc, what's going on, brother? You've been sitting there patiently. Let us know what you're thinking.
Oh, how's it going, guys? How's it going, Reason, EM, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going down,
Oh man, I'm hyped up. I'm really hyped up. Man.
I'm with you too, homie.
Everybody's
I'm right with you.
Everybody's
I'm right with you,
screaming,
homie.
and I'm hyped up. I just want to touch on a few things. In terms of the season and the schedule, Greer and Flores, they seem to move kind of hip to hip. They seem to be on the same page. So, we all know when training camp opens up, Tua's going to come in. He's going to light it up. He's going to be the best. He is the most talented quarterback we've had in the building since Marino. And that's a fact. Since 20-something years, Marino's been gone. He's the most talented guy in the building. He's going to light it up. Now, at that point, it's really a matter of how soon are we going to get him out there? If we get him out there before week 8, it's going to be a huge problem. It's going to be a huge problem because we need that O-line to develop. Because we're not going to be the greatest O-line, but at least they need some form of cohesion. We can't throw him out there to the wolves. We can't just we got to put him on a 10-year plan. 2020 is just about progress. We need to put 2 on the 10-year plan because this guy he can be the next one for us if we treat it right. In terms of the schedule, injuries are the ultimate variable. We don't know what the roster is going to look like. We don't know who's going to be healthy or not. We don't know who's going to be, that we overachieved last year. Mm-hmm. The Bengals did not have the worst. The Bengals did not have the least talented team last year, but they had the worst record. We probably had the least talented team, and we got 5 wins. If I'm looking for 2020, we can really make a run at 8. If we're really on the ball early, we can maybe make a run at 9. But, that's a reasonable expectation. So for me, I'm just looking for us to make a lot of progress to figure out who our starters are going to be, who our rotation guys are going to be in 2020. So when 2021 comes up and we start swinging for the home runs, we start looking for the fireworks, we're going to have our base down. We're going to have our rotation down. We're going to have our guys in. So 2021 comes around. It's about getting the bigger free agent acquisitions. It's about drafting, maybe using a few more draft picks to trade up and get the guy that we need at certain spots.
Right.
So 2020, I'm looking for progress. 2021, that's when the playoff and the Super Bowl talk really need to start, and that's when Tua is really going to get cooking. Is my 2 cents.
That was Glenn Rice money. With that
my man, 100 grand.
There you go. I'm with you 100% on that. 2020 is step 2, phase 2, right? Phase, 3 is when you go for it. Phase 1 was the 2000 whatever tank year. This is phase 2. Take step 2, and in 2021, that's when I'm going all in. Right now, I mean, EM, I don't want to get disappointed with 8 wins. You're going 10 wins, so I don't want you disappointed if they go 500.
No, Jason, for real. No, initially I said once free agency was completed and we evaluate our roster on this stream, okay? We evaluated all the. We're not even talking about the draft. We're talking about based off free agency alone. Okay, I said this team. We won 5 last year. It is easily 3 wins minimum. 3 wins based off what we did in free agency. And I'm telling you, from a matchup standpoint, if you go and look at the teams that are on our schedule, the only teams that I'm concerned about are those heavy run teams. Because even though ideally, I think we should have got a veteran nose tackle in free agency. Personally, I think we should have brought John Jerry back, but he went and signed with Chicago. But we all know how I'm on the record how I feel about Raekwon Davis, but still, he's a rookie coming into this situation, and he will be starting they will be starting him in the middle. So if you go and evaluate the teams that are on this schedule, the only teams that concern me are those heavy run teams. Seattle, but they lost 2 starters on their offensive line. San Francisco, maybe Denver, but again, I don't think Denver. When you match up our secondary with their skill position players, I don't think they have an advantage. I think we do. But every other team on our schedule, with the exception of the Kansas City Chiefs, what team on our schedule that can physically dominate us based off what we have done through free agency? What teams that can really physically dominate us? I mean, really,
are you asking? Is that a question? Or
yeah, that's a question.
Okay, I'll answer. I'm terrified of Super Bowl champion Russell Wilson. I'm terrified of Super Bowl defensive lineman Nick Bosa. I'm terrified of the other Bosa in LA. I'm terrified of Kyler Murray stopping him. That's going to be a nightmare on the road. And to tell you the truth, I'm terrified of Pat Mahomes. So I'm not only terrified of those games, I'm terrified of being embarrassed there. And I'm also thinking that we're at best a 3-3 AFC divisional record. So all of a sudden, that's 8 losses.
No, I'm sorry.
I gotta be real. I can't think that we're a 10-win team. I can't. Not yet.
Not yet, homie. I respect.
It's not pessimism, though.
Hey, Jason.
I gotta strongly disagree with the Arizona man.
Hold on a sec. There's a reason why they didn't even table an offer to Tom Brady, and I've been telling people for months, not weeks, months, that they believe in Jarrett Stidham and watch out, because if they believe in him that much to not even table an offer to Tom Brady, that tells
Brady
you
didn't want to be there.
But
Brady didn't want to be there.
That's not true.
Brady didn't want to be there.
That's not true. They didn't even table an offer.
And I think that's personal.
That came to Belichick.
I think that was personal more than anything. I think that was personal more than anything.
They would have tabled a 1-year offer if they weren't confident in Jarrett Stidham. So they haven't gone after Jameis Winston. They haven't gone after Cam Newton. They haven't gone after Andy Dalton when he just got traded to Dallas. They haven't gone after Nick Foles when he got traded, because they are comfortable with sitting pat with Jarrett Stidham. And like I tell people, go and watch the kid in Baylor when they let the reins off the kid and let him throw the ball, and the guy killed it.
So let me ask you this reason, okay? This is the team that struggled on the offensive end last year. Struggled.
Yeah, because Brady was limited.
Okay. Well, so you're putting that on Brady, or you're putting that on the weapons that he had at his disposal? Which one was it? Which one is it?
I think it was a combination of both.
Okay. Well, Brady struggled with this.
I mean, N'Keal Harry could take that sophomore leap, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, but again,
Bill Belichick rarely ever moves up for a wide receiver, and he did that for.
I understand that.
Harry.
We all know his track record of that same scenario, drafting wide receivers, is not very good. But again, I'm gonna say this in terms of your Stidham, and I like Stidham's skill set, physical skill set. But again, Brady struggled last year with the same offense, and they made no upgrades on paper, I should say, okay, because I'm not factoring in players can improve and players can take that, a significant leap in their second and third years. But again, on paper, I just don't see the fear.
I don't fear the second-year quarterback, bro. I don't count Bill Belichick out. I'm not about to sit here. He's done enough and earned enough of my respect where I'm not about to count him out just because he's bringing in a quarterback that it looks like he trusts and he likes how the development was last year. So I'm not counting him out, especially with how when you break down how on paper, aside from a few names, that defense was quite average, and yet for the first 8 games, they looked freaking historic. So I'm not gonna sit here and count him out because he can disprove everyone. Now, I said when our opponents came out, and we already knew they were going to be opponent, I said I believe that the Bills are going to be – I think the Bills are going to sweep us. And I will stand by that because I think people are sleeping on the Stephon Diggs signing because they didn't get him for speed. Why did they get him, EM? They got him because of his massive catch radius, and that can hide Josh Allen's –
Okay, I understand that.
And
I understand.
Another factor is,
but again,
you can say it because you've watched every game. For some reason, Josh Allen always decides to have his best games against us, and you see his athleticism on full display every time.
Quarterback.
And now they've added. They got Frank Gore, and they drafted Zach Moss, who led the nation in shed tackles, and he's a legit running back. And they're going to pair that with Devin Singletary. That's going to be a scary running game next year.
Listen. Where Josh Allen kills us, it's not in the air; it's on the ground.
That's what I said.
We had previous. Okay.
That's what I said. Athleticism.
Okay, but again, that's why I said when we got into this debate, it's all about on paper, how we upgraded in terms of addressing the run defense.
Good, bro.
Is Josh Allen?
Dude, they got rid of Shaq Lawson. They let Shaq Lawson walk, and they're replacing him with AJ Epinesa. Like I said this at free agency.
So you're saying that's an upgrade?
To me, they had the second best free agency in the NFL, and then now I look at their draft. They had a very good draft class. Don't on the. You can pay everyone in our division. The Jets, the Patriots, and the Bills all had very good draft classes for what they had to work with. And the Jets look competent for the first time in how many years?
Drafted very well.
But again, I'm looking at from a matchup standpoint. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, but you got Brown, and you got Brown, and you got Stephon Diggs, you got Devin Singletary.
You saw Nick Needham lock Brown up last year. Okay.
Yeah, but now he's not the number one
last year.
He's not the number one guy.
We have Xavier Howard coming back as well as Byron Jones. Okay, so again, that's not an advantage for the Buffalo Bills, for the New England Patriots, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The
Seahawks is an advantage.
And don't forget Byron Jones.
I said adding Stephon
Diggs did pretty well against DeAndre Hopkins and Michael Thomas last year. Pretty much shut those guys down. Byron Jones
shut them down, erased them.
Shut them down.
Erased them. So again, I'm not worried about that. Again, what concerns me are those heavy run-based teams that have those big physical offensive linemen like Seattle, like San Francisco.
Dude,
those are the only teams.
Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, the run game is going to be very good this year.
Okay, we'll see. Well,
I agree with that.
We'll see.
You are really sleeping on that run game in Buffalo, brother.
No, I'm not sleeping.
It's going to wake you up, man.
I just don't think it's that big of an advantage is what I'm saying, bro. And
you look at on both sides of the ball, they are very good, man.
Okay. Well,
now,
I guess we just have to.
They want to play where they want to get ahead of you because in the last 2 or 3 minutes, you don't want to put the ball in Josh Allen's hands to go win the game.
That's why I said it's all about how well we've improved in the run game.
This guy, for some reason, and you see this in variable sports. I mean, there was a player who played for, you see it in different sports. There was a player who played for the Philadelphia Flyers who used to He used to absolutely murder the Pittsburgh Penguins every time we played them, bro. Scott Hartnell, bro. He used to kill us. And it was the one team he would always show up against. It happens in sport. And it looks like Josh Allen turning into that. We're the one team he always puts on display of, that's why they got
reason. Okay, look at this. You sit here and you kill Josh Allen based off his lack of accuracy, lack of his ball placement, lack of his anticipation. You really think against this secondary? Really? Okay.
Yes, because Stephon Diggs has
I want to bet you on
Stephon Diggs.
Dude,
they got Stephon Diggs not because of his speed. They got him because of his catch radius. Because
I understand.
Catch radius.
I'm well aware who that is. I'm well aware of who that is and his skill set. But I'm sitting here telling you again, matched up with either, I would be confident. I am more than comfortable in an isolated situation with Xavier Howard on him or Byron Jones.
No.
I don't want Xavier.
I'm telling you that right now. I am telling you that right now.
You are high if you want Xavier on Stephon Diggs.
You act like,
bro, are you?
Nobody wants to see that.
Nobody.
I don't know, man.
Really?
I don't want to see Howard Diggs, man. I don't want to.
Not the 2020 version of Howard.
I'll take Byron on Diggs, but I ain't taking X on Diggs. Are you crazy?
If Xavier Howard comes back healthy and he returns to his 2018 form, yes, I'm more than comfortable. I'm more than comfortable.
And Stephon Diggs is way faster than him.
Look, I just want to give my take on the whole Buffalo thing. I really don't fear them, not at all. I kind of side with EM a little bit more on that because of the reason that I just have a hunch that when it comes to game plan and clock management and the end of the game, I think we're going to have the upper hand this year. For whatever reason, I'm just saying I'm going on a feeling. And this year, I actually feel to expect the unexpected to expect the unexpected in a positive way. Like we're all saying here, like realistically 9 wins. But I mean, last year, TD was asking me what was my expectations for the season. I just told him 3 wins, man. I mean, we had too many question marks. We had new coaches, players we didn't know about. You know, it was just too much going on, man. Both sides of the ball. This is too much. Everything was new. This year, we have some familiarity with coaching, a coaching style. And for me, I expect the unexpected in a positive way. I do have that feeling. I do have that hunch. But I really feel that we don't really know yet when both teams are at full strength what that matchup's going to look like when it comes to game planning and clock management. And the reason that I say that is because when you look at matchups like, let's say, the Cowboys and the Patriots, anytime if I was to bet on that game, I'm always going to bet on the Patriots. Why? Because from the time that the game starts, man, it's all about clock management for New England. They're just sitting there watching the clock, man. They're going to score something, look at the clock. We're going to game plan for this part of the game at this point in time. This is what we're going to do. We're going to execute this until halftime. And then when we come back out, we're going to run the clock out. That's what New England does. And so that's what I see being the key ingredient to that Buffalo matchup. If our coaches who we think is, that's why I side with EM on the fact that I don't fear Buffalo, man, because especially for
Josh Allen.
When you seen them on the grand stage in the playoffs in prime time, that was almost embarrassing that they couldn't close that game out against Houston. They should have won that game.
Josh Allen.
And as far as Arizona, man, I'm telling you that air raid, it looks scary, man. But once you get a team that plays defense and can man you up, man, I'm telling you, dude, that's one game I'll put money we're going to win that game, and we're going to make it look easy. I'm not scared of Arizona. I'm not even – that's one game on the schedule. I'm not even looking at that game.
I watched every Arizona Cardinal game last year, and it's not about manning up. It's about dealing with Kyler Murray because he would get outside the pocket a whole hell of a lot. And if you're in man and he gets outside the pocket, he'll eat you up.
Well, they have something called a spy for that.
Yeah, but your spy, we don't have a spy in our linebacking core that's going to be able to keep up with Kyler Murray's quickness. And
so wait. You mean to tell me when they go to again, it's all about controlling the run game. If you control a team's running game, you can get in your exotic packages. You mean to tell me, in my opinion, the approach is going to be getting as many defensive backs on the field as possible? You mean to tell me one of those defensive backs, Jamal Wiltz, Nick Needham, whoever you choose to spy on him, they can't run with Kyler Murray?
I don't think.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to get it.
No, we have to try to confuse them.
Because this is going to be one game. Kenyon Drake circled on the calendar when he found out who he'd be playing next year, and I don't think the run game is going to be shut down as easily as you're expecting it against Arizona.
No. I'm not saying that. That's why I said it's all about what they do up front, and if they can get any team. And that strategy applies to every team on our schedule. As long as if we can get teams consistently in third and long situations where they can bring as many. That's the strategy of the New England Patriots. That's the strategy of the Detroit Lions. It will be the strategy of the Miami Dolphins. They want to get as many defensive backs on the field as possible. And if they can do that, I'm telling you, from a matchup standpoint, that's why I only fear those heavy run-based teams because of I just would have felt more comfortable if we would have got a veteran nose tackle in free agency. That's my only concern.
But the offseason isn't over yet. Remember that, man. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. 100%.
Honestly, I feel like we still got one more move in this, to be honest with you. So.
And I think it probably will be a no. It might be. Well, I think they'll take a wait and see approach, wait and get in camp and see how that goes. With not necessarily Raekwon Davis, but Benito Jones, because we need depth.
Benito's going to make the team, man. Benito Jones is going to make the team.
Yeah. By default, he should, because they're the only two players that they have at that position. That's it. So by default, he should. So I'm just saying, bro, I'm high on our secondary. It's all about what they do up front. If they can limit teams and keep them in third and long situation, I'm telling you that those win totals of 9-7 and 10-6, they're not. They are very realistic, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think if you look at our secondary, even this year, we have a playoff caliber secondary, and it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. Noah's only going to get better. We're going to find out where Needham is going to, where he fits into the picture, whether we move him to safety or not, just because we have so many dogs and the cornerback.
Absolutely.
I think Needham's going to be the backup boundary.
Needham's nice, and we're going to find out how nice he really is this season. Now, the rest of the defense has got to come together, especially the linebacker core. Right now we kind of have the no-name defense.
I think our defensive line is going to be like our offensive line. It's going to their defensive line because we're going to have so many rookies rotating in and even on the edges with like Curtis Weaver getting snapped. I think I'm expecting with the front of that 3-4, I'm expecting growing pains for the first half, just like I'm expecting growing pains for if we start 3 rookies on the offensive line. And that's what I think no one's taking into account here, guys. If there's growing pains on both sides of the ball in the first half of the season, that's not going to come out to a 5-2, a 5-3 record more than likely.
I agree with that.
That's what has me.
I agree.
What I expect, and the reason why I'm sticking to there's multiple reasons why I'm sticking to 7, 9, and 8 and 8 is because if we see 9 or 10 wins, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I won't be disappointed. And secondly, because I am expecting these growing pains, that's why I'm setting realistic expectations, because if we have 3 rookies on that offensive line alone, we are going to have issues.
I agree.
We're gonna make a late run though. I think we're gonna make a late run this season.
I want to see by week 11, week 12, week 13, week 14, those issues start coming off the list. You're not seeing them anymore, or they become smaller and corrected. If I start seeing that and we still finish 7 and 9 and we see the progress on both lines, to me, that's as good as making the playoffs for me. If I see the progress where I can go into next season and say, I like what I saw from the end by midway to the end of the season from our offensive line and what we were doing up front in the defense, then next year you're going to be hearing me banging probably for 11 or 12 wins.
But listen, 8 and 8 might make the playoffs this year, bro. 7 and 9 might.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I said that earlier.
Eight might take the division.
Yo, EM, we might be the NFC East of last year this year.
Yeah.
True.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Which is why, again, I ask myself, and look, anything that I say now, I like Tua. I would like, again, to root for him for the next 10 years. But can Ryan Fitzpatrick get 8 wins to make the mileage on Tua's odometer 0 for 2021? A gelled offensive line, And you know what Ryan Fitzpatrick did? He pulled the Chad Pennington. He won a division, and then Baltimore slaughtered us in the first round. You know what? I'll take that. And in 2020, 4 picks in the top 2 rounds. And then Tua, healthy, muscular, because they're going to build up his body, headier, because he's going to know that offense. And then you have 3 rookies who have 16 games of continuity. And then you have some free agent that's going to come want to play for Flores. And then you have 11 new rookies coming in. 2021 is when I'm going to say, EM, if they don't win 12 games, they did something wrong.
Yeah.
Let's
But
Jason,
Jason, we're in agreement there.
I know.
Reason in my,
but I want to do it
we
without Tua. That's the only thing.
I gotta.
I want to preserve. I want to preserve.
Listen, I would like. Listen, I would. Hang on 1 second, Esteban, real quick. I will say this. I'm totally in agreement with you. Okay, I think Reason and I think the 3 of us are on the same page. But I would like to see Tua sprinkled in. I would like sprinkled in at some point this year. That Kansas City approach that they took with Patrick Mahomes, I think, is ideal for him.
I'll give you the asterisk of let me see where that may happen. I'm not going to say yes or no. I just let me see where that may happen. You know.
Mm-hmm. That Cincinnati game. That Cincinnati game. Like I agree with you there. The Cincinnati game would be perfect.
No, but Jason does make a really strong point, EM, and I agree with him. The problem is if we get to starting Tua, and I agree with this, I wouldn't want him starting Week 17 at Buffalo.
No.
No.
Well.
No.
You don't want to especially the conditions are very bad.
Maybe. You know what?
So it's cold, man. Run the ball. We got
I can't
argue.
argue.
Yeah.
You know what?
We gotta have a run.
I can't argue that.
Torn hip in Buffalo in
I can't.
December?
I'm not going.
I don't know.
You know what? I'm not going. Jason, I'm not.
Buffalo in the cold for years to come, hopefully, right?
I'm not going to debate you on that one, homie.
When he has to.
I agree.
When he has
When
to.
he has to, but by week 17, he'll be healed up. He'll be ready to go.
If they have 4 wins, what's the
That's
point?
game planning, though, man. You got to
If
run
they
the
have
ball.
4
Jordan
wins,
Howard
what's the
controls
point?
clock. You got to do those type of things, man. You got to let the kid fly a little bit too, man.
If they have
Because
4
if
wins,
you think so, think about this because future thinking. What happens if Houston stinks up right this year? Right,
that's great.
we got their pick. It's a top 3 pick, man. What happens if Watson goes down? What happens now? What happens if Justin Fields is sitting right there, but Tua hasn't shown you nothing, or he gets hurt or something?
I'm not. No, you already invested in the top quarterback. You do what you have to do to get the best available player.
Hey, I mean, I get it for all of us.
I'm in this for the future.
I get it. I love him.
Let me say one thing too. I don't know. I'm not going to play the age game or who saw this or that or whatever. We saw Marino, who went to 1 Super Bowl his second year, never went back to another one. That's not a knock on Dan. The team wasn't built around him every year that he had. I want the opposite. I don't want to throw Tua in and say, give it to us immediately. I want the team to be around him. So when he comes in, he's winning 11, 12, 13 games like it's nothing. And then when that perfect hand comes, that's the Super Bowl year or 2 or 3. I'm not rushing. We've rushed before and it's gotten us nowhere. Stats. I'm not rushing.
It's not. But it's not about rushing.
Why are you playing 2 a week 17 if they have 4 wins though?
Yeah, but you got to see what you got a little bit.
You know what you have
because
everyone knows. Everyone's already saying he's the greatest quarterback ever.
Picks in your draft, man.
But everyone is already saying he's going. 3 people on the show guaranteed he's the best player and going to light it up. So
training camp.
Training camp. No, in training. Nobody said that, Jason. Nobody said he's going to be the best quarterback ever.
3 people say he's going to light it up, no doubt.
We said he's going to be the best quarterback in training camp.
Stop it.
I'm going a little exaggeration. I'm going on an exaggeration like people are saying 10 wins. That's my exaggeration.
Man, stop it, man.
Hey, Jason, look, you guys, I got to get out of here, man. I just want to give a take real quick. Whether Tua plays at the beginning of the season, during the regular season, towards the end, to me, honestly, I leave it in the hands of the coaches because they're going to be with him from training camp to preseason to every regular season game that's there, whether he sets foot on the field or not. I know that I was okay with originally. You can ask EM and Reason. I wasn't really on the Tua train to draft I was concerned about the injury, but I warmed up to drafting him, and part of the reason why is because of what we could do in the draft this year, and we still have next year. And was it what Dolphin Beast was saying? I that's exactly why I was okay with drafting Tua, because you're going to have him all this year. You're going to have him in training camp. You're going to see him in practice. Whether he touches the field or not, if they are concerned with anything that has to do with his health, because I know he's an awesome player. That's my only thing, is if they know there's something going on health-wise where this isn't going to be a cornerstone for a dynasty. That's why how Dolphin Beast was talking about. We got that early draft pick. If you got to go get another quarterback next year, don't wait. Go get another one. Go get them. Don't wait, because you're not going to have this opportunity again. That's why look, man. If you are gambling and you're in a poker game, that's how you play your card. That's how you want the best cards you got all the way to the last table.
What if I'm slow playing my flush or my full house? What if I'm going to slow play that to not win one little hand? What if I want to win the World Series of Poker?
So what happens if we sit Tua the whole year, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's singing his praises.
Don't care.
Goes in next year and stinks it up, and we drafted everybody else around.
Then everyone's wrong.
Quarterback.
Then everyone's wrong.
I'm not really concerned with him thinking it up. I think he's going to be an excellent player. My only concern is just having a backup.
Ryan Leaf was going to be good. People thought all these other busts
no,
would be good.
You can't.
You got to
see
see
now everyone's you're going back and you're doing different things. You're doing different things. What if Ryan Leaf sat for 2 years?
I think you can determine that in practice.
It's still trash.
Ryan Leaf failed because he had no work ethic.
He changed his life around. You know what Ryan Leaf's doing now?
Yeah, now what? He's 40 years old now, bro.
He changed his life around. I'm saying you can't compare other people.
What were the reports that were coming out of? But you got to remember though, it just even in practice, because what were the reports that were coming out about Mahomes? Dude, they were screaming about him, about the things that he was doing in practice, bro.
Exactly.
You don't have to put this guy on the field. You're gonna know what you got.
Traded up for Mitch Trubisky because people are idiots sometimes.
Yeah, once you got this guy in your hands, in your grasp, in your practice rooms, in your practice fields, you're gonna know his mentality and what he brings to the table. That's all I'm saying. Like whether
he's see him every day. I'm saying, like, you're gonna see him every single day.
So, look, man, I really feel that it boils down to this. It's his health. If there's something wrong with his health, they're gonna go get another quarterback next year. No doubt. If they get a high pick, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
That would be a step backward.
But see, not necessarily, because you're always gonna have to have a quarterback. In my opinion, honestly, it was okay to go. It wasn't like they were gambling this year going to go get Tua. It made all the sense of the world. This guy has all the intangibles. He's projected to be a perennial Pro Bowler. As long as he's healthy, that's what he should be. So if that's the case, go draft him. Go draft him. You know what you got. The only question mark is that if he can be durable and make it from week to week and be reliable. That's it. If you feel that he can.
But look, Joe Burrow right now? Is that the same question mark with Joe Burrow right now?
But look, Jason, what injury are you?
No, I'm asking us about a question. I want to ask, is that the same question mark about Joe Burrow?
No, he doesn't have any. He doesn't have, but it's not the same. Those are two different situations, man. That's peanut butter and jelly, bro. It's two different. That's mustard and mayonnaise. It's not the same thing.
This is why I'm not combining it together. I'm sitting
one guy got taken out for half the college season. The other guy won a championship. That's not even comparable.
Tua for the year. That's what I do.
He was my number one quarterback.
I'm sitting Tua for the year because the injury. And I've not seen him react to a hit yet. Even if it's a light hit after a slant throw. I haven't seen him get up and say, first down, let's go. I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to.
What injury are you that concerned about? Is it the hip or is it his ankles?
Yeah, Ian. For me, it's not his ankles. It's his hip. And I'll be honest, look what happened with Tannehill. Tannehill got hurt in spring.
Tannehill was one of the toughest players that we've ever seen.
I'm just saying, but I'm not saying that in a negative way. What I'm saying is this guy got hurt in practice, bro. Tannehill got hurt in practice. That's why it made all the sense. That's
after
why
a game injury and got hurt off the ball.
Stop talking over each other.
What I'm saying is,
Jason,
but I'm okay with them drafting. That's why I was okay with them drafting him,
But
because
that's peanut butter and jelly too. Tannehill.
Guys,
Tannehill and Tua is peanut butter and jelly.
Guys, you got to stop talking over each other, man. You guys got to let each other say convey what you have to, your opinions, man. Stop talking to each other. I don't want to turn this into an argument and a debate. Like, if you're going to do it one at a time. So Esteban, go say what you were saying, and then Jason, you can reply.
Okay, so the Tannehill thing with me, it happened during training, during practice. All right, that's why I was okay with them drafting Tua, because if anything were to happen if you can identify anything that would happen health-wise or anything that could happen possibly, if you were to see that in practice, then you know that there's a concern. So there's nothing wrong with drafting Tua. There's nothing wrong with that. If nothing happens, that's a plus, because you just drafted a perennial Pro Bowler.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
A projected perennial Pro Bowler. So it made all the sense in the world to draft him.
Never said that didn't make sense.
No, well, what I was saying makes sense is what Dolphin Beast was talking about. That makes all the sense in the world.
Oh yeah,
if you got to go get another quarterback next year, go do it, man. You know what I mean?
I don't know how that long-term helps the franchise. I don't know how that long-term helps the franchise. 2 quarterbacks you're going to have to pay $100 million in 4 or 5 years.
Oh, they move into if they get Trevor. That's a fact.
But then, what about the organization, the jersey sales? What about all the fans that are the Tua stands? What happens with them?
We just need to recalibrate the rebuild at that point. We just need to recalibrate the rebuild at that point.
Here's the thing, Jason. This whole thing started over you saying that Flores doesn't care what the media or what the National Football League or what anyone else says. So if they drafted Trevor Lawrence, that would just be the same thing. That
doesn't make business sense.
It's not about business. It's about winning.
Boom.
Yeah, it is about winning. I would love for Tua to work out. But if they know he's not going to work out.
Hold on. The business that's Stephen Ross's worry. That ain't Brian Flores' worry. Brian Flores' worry is
financially. How could you draft another quarterback?
You can trade.
And then if
somebody will be moved, they're not going to keep both of them. One of them will be moved.
Trade Rose?
Tua will be moved.
I don't think this is I don't think there's a road to go down. Trading Tua. I don't think that's the road to go down.
But they're not asking what you think. What they're saying here is, if they put him out here, or if they see throughout the year they don't like what they see in terms of injury and progress, that's not about what any of us thinks. It's about what the coaching staff sees. If Tua doesn't live up to the expectations in terms of health and what they see in practice as a number 5 pick, instead of sitting around and waiting on your hands like a Tannehill for it to eventually snap and come together, move on. That's all they're saying. If you don't like what you see as a coaching staff, move on from it. That's all they're saying. They're not asking
1 year.
They're saying what the coaching staff is
after 1 year.
Right.
Well, if they don't see what they don't like it medically, then it could be a very big possibility after 1 year.
The Cardinals did it with Rosen.
Absolutely, that's what I just said. Yeah,
it's the exact same situation.
When you know, you know.
They didn't wait now, and now look how hot everybody thinks they are. I mean, you're sitting here saying that you're scared of them on the schedule.
I am, but I'm confused on what we're arguing about now.
I think that's not really an argument. It's just really a debate on what you would do in that scenario.
What I would do
with that pick, if there's a concern with Tua, that's all. This
year, we drafted 3 players in the first round, unlike any year ever. There was also 2 more second-round picks, a third, and then they got 5, 6, 7, 8 more players. And then they brought in another player in Breida. It was a very unique draft. So it's a very unique thought process. I don't think that it's a rush. If I'm wrong and Tua plays 7 games and goes 5-2, I'm the happiest guy in the world if it helps to develop the team for the future and he's perfect and everything is good. But I've seen some things in the past, whether it was an injured quarterback or a quarterback waiting for another guy to retire or get out, where it might behoove a franchise to just put the guy on ice. See what your veteran can do. See what your other quarterback that could be potentially an asset for, and then let that other aspects of the team gel. So you bring in that perfect quarterback when the team is solid. Marino couldn't go to another Super Bowl in the late 80s because he didn't have a defense or a running back. In the 90s, he could have gone to a Super Bowl. There were a couple of seasons that was this close, you know? Jay Fiedler wasn't a good enough quarterback to lead a team with a great defense and a great running back. So what if we have a great quarterback who's ready to come in year 2, no miles on the tank, and this Brian Flores coach secondary, which is now a top 3 in the league after an awesome 2020, a gelled 2020 line, that's what I want. I want to rest the guy who everyone is ready to be the savior for, which I think that he can be on a very good team. This could be a dominant team for 10 years.
Dude, everybody
because of injury concerns.
Everybody, hold on. Here's the thing. Everybody wants the scenario you just laid out. The problem is when we look at what we want, we're looking at it subjectively. So what we're doing is we're looking at objectively as coaches. That's the difference here.
With or without Tua, in the NFL that I've watched over the last 30 years of my life, if I build a team around a quarterback, I'm sitting any quarterback as a rookie. I've gone
on record. EM and Esteban can attest to this. 8-9 months ago, I was on TD's platform and I was saying if I drafted Trevor Lawrence, I would bench him for year 1. That's not the issue. What we want isn't the issue here. What we want for this team isn't the issue here. What the issue here is how the coaching staff, who aren't us and who don't necessarily buy a lot of the draft picks and a lot of the players that we wanted, don't exactly line up with our philosophy. They did take Alex Smith with you, or they would Alex Highsmith with you, or they would take, a guy like Ashton Davis with me. So what they want doesn't always line up with what we want. And all I'm sitting here and saying is from an objective outlook,
that's not what I'm trying to prove.
But from an objective outlook, looking at the team, it is a realistic possibility that Tua Tagovailoa, besides the fact none of us on this panel want to see it, that it is a realistic possibility that he starts a game or 2 this year. None of us want it. It's not about none of us want it, but that is a realistic possibility.
I'd be surprised.
Here's the issue I have with the issue I have with Jason is that he doesn't want to see Tua based off injury concerns. Okay,
based on longevity. It's not just Tua. I just said it doesn't have to be Tua. Unless it's the number 1 guy, Joe Burrow has to probably start. But if I'm LA, the Chargers, all right, if I'm the Dolphins, if I'm obviously Green Bay, you don't want to see your quarterback see the light of day for a year, at least. Green Bay too.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm not in 100% agreement with you on that because again, you just like you have quarterbacks that have sat for you and had long-term success. You've seen guys that started day 1 and had long-term success. So I don't necessarily buy into that. But what?
Who recently? Recently started day 1 with long-term success. 5 years. 5 years.
Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning.
Easy.
Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl. Not year 1, he won 1 game.
He had success.
He won 1 game.
We're talking about long-term. We're talking about long-term. We're talking about their
but he was the number 1 overall pick.
Okay,
so,
it don't matter.
Russell Wilson, other than the number 1 overall pick, who stepped in right away?
Define success.
What week did Ben Roethlisberger
Listen.
What week did Ben Roethlisberger start?
We can give Roethlisberger 1. So that's 3 Super Bowl
started. Okay.
Eli Manning.
What do you mean? Eli Manning was? Phillip Rivers
was.
Well,
he was very mediocre for his first 10 years, right?
Well, whatever. But we're talking about
his team won it.
We're talking about the totality of his career, bro. That's what we're talking about. Okay?
Where we had trouble naming 4 guys.
Well, no. Okay, you didn't let me finish. Phillip Rivers started day 1, did he? Did he not? Is he a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback?
He's not a Super Bowl winner.
Is he not a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback?
But there's not 40 of them. There's like a couple who come in right away.
Listen, my point is, this is my point. I'm saying I don't buy into that ideology that y'all have that a quarterback has to sit day 1 for him to be successful in the National Football League.
I didn't say has to. That's what I do. And that's what I think the Dolphins are doing. I'd be surprised if they start him again. That's it.
Okay.
I'd be surprised.
Jason and EM, man. Jason, I had to say one thing. I understand a lot of what you're saying. I just don't feel like we're meeting on that plane. But I see what you're saying. I know what you want to do in the draft next year. You just want to maximize value. We already addressed the quarterback position you would like to address. I know that's yeah. I know what you mean, bro.
Right as they are about Tua, and I'm not going to evaluate a quarterback like everyone else is. If everyone that I'm listening to is that high on him, I am very good with letting him waltz in when this team is built perfectly and let him get us 14 wins.
Yeah, but I mean, with that being said, just if that scenario presents itself where there is something wrong with his health and we know it behind the scenes, we're not going to know what the coaches are going to know. If they go get another quarterback next year, I'm fine with that too. Whatever it takes.
If you're fine with the 5th overall pick being gone, and then we have to restart another quarterback that's gone, there's not going to be any upset with you? You're going to be okay?
Jason,
in my overall perspective,
we got to stop with the cutting off, man. You got to let him finish his thoughts. It's going to go a lot smoother.
So in my overall perspective, whatever it takes to win, that's where whatever it takes. I don't care if they got to draft 2, 3 quarterbacks, whatever. But I do want to maximize value. I hear what you're saying in the draft and address as many positions and gain as much as depth players as we can in the draft. In theory, that's the best way to go about it. But you just never know what's going to happen, man. You never know where you need to create. Who's going to have an injury? It doesn't even have to be quarterback, man. We could be somebody we drafted this year have some health issue where we got to go get another right tackle. We got to go get another left tackle. You just don't know, man. It sucks that those scenarios happen, but
I just don't want people in terms of Tua seeing the field this year. I just don't want people taking a perspective of they're just so fearful of he might get hurt. If Tua has 110% recovered from his hip injury and the doctors give him a clean bill of health, at some point, if you're not going to put him in there, it'll be from, they just prefer him to sit and learn the game from the sidelines as opposed to them being fearful of putting him out there and him getting hurt. Because you can't take that approach in football. You've drafted him number 5 overall. Your doctors have given him a clean bill of health. And if this dude is lighting up, if he's head and shoulders above your 2nd and 3rd guy, again, any event, that scenario that Reason brought up last year, I'm sorry, a little while ago, we're 8-3, and Fitzpatrick reverts, back to Fitzpatrick, he gets hurt, and our O-line is good.
And our O-line is good.
And our O-line is okay. O-line is okay. That doesn't have to be good, just average. You put that guy in there, bro. You can't take the approach of you're fearful of putting players get hurt in the National Football League. That's the nature of the game.
You're taking my point too heavily on the injury. I sit a rookie quarterback unless he is God. I don't know if Tua is God. I don't know if Joe Burrow is God. Everybody on that team is under 30. They're coming off of the 32nd worst offensive line in the league. They have half the team is new. They got to gel. It's going to take time. I'm not rushing. Sit any rookie quarterback if you're the Miami Dolphins.
I hear you.
Well, I gotta go. It was nice talking. It was nice talking to y'all, man. I gotta go. One more statement, man. Last year was Flores' freebie. Now he's on the clock. You gotta take that into
I've been telling
as well. So,
bro, expectations are upon us. Expectations are upon us.
Not this year.
So,
Sharif,
yes, it is, bro. Yes, it is.
Sharif,
yes,
can you hear us?
You know why?
Yeah, I can hear you guys perfectly.
Okay, buddy. Okay, hold on. Before you go on your EM, finish what you're gonna say, and then we're gonna go right to Sharif because I know he's been waiting patiently. So EM, just finish what you're gonna say, and then we'll go to Sharif.
I was going to say primarily based off what he did last year with 38% of the roster being undrafted status. That's why expectations have been ramped up. He won 5 games last year with the worst roster in the NFL. Expectations are here, bro. Considering the money they spent in free agency and all in the draft that they had, you mean to tell me that this is another redshirt year for him?
I think free agency alone put expectations on the table.
Expectations are here, bro. Whether we
I'm
like it or
not
not,
saying
whether we agree
I'm not
with it or
saying
not.
playoff expectations, but I'm saying I think the people are expecting us to improve on our record from next year, hands down.
Exactly. I'd say two wins minimum is the expectation. 2 wins minimum. 2.
Hey Sharif,
That,
Sharif, how you doing, buddy? Let us know
yeah.
what you're thinking.
Hey, man, I'm doing great. Nice to meet you guys. The two guys to the bottom. Nice to meet you, Jason. I could barely see you guys' names, so just thank you to be amongst Dolphin fans. But I'll get
Sharif,
right
it's
into
always
the
a pleasure,
news and
homie.
notes.
It's always a pleasure.
Um, we all know that the schedule has come out. There has been some transactions made with the Dolphins. All of the rookies. I think one more rookie has to sign. So we have meaning that they won't miss OTAs or virtual OTAs. And at this point, they're already starting to plan to open up. I think the training facility. On the new training facility note, there was a training facility that got constructed from last year on to now. It's a world class Dolphins new training facility. They're now petitioning that name is changed to the Chula Training Facility. There's also a petition to change the field of Hard Rock Stadium to the Shula Field. On another news, um, I think
We
in
need,
terms of
we need to get that coach of
players,
the year. We need to get that coach of the year renamed after him.
yeah,
100%.
yeah, that that would be awesome. I think we have some tenured players now who, if they were to leave this year through restrictionship, and they were to choose to leave, then we would get draft picks now. So what is happening is we're bringing in our own players through signing them, and then now we're owning the rights. So any player that wants to leave the Dolphins, I think only 2 players left. Uh, we don't have the rights to if they were to be cut or just leave in free agency. So what is happening is the same thing in New England. Anyone that wants to freely go, they can go, but we will get a compensated pick either from round 3 to 7. And that's amazing in itself. That means Chris Greer is owning the rights to the players that he's signing. And other than that, you guys could get back into the. I'll just get. I wanted to get into breaking down the roster. If you guys want to start getting
Here,
into
give
the
me a sec.
roster.
Give me a sec, Sharif. Is one of you guys watching the TV right now? I can hear a TV in the background on someone.
Yeah, I can too.
Is that you, Sharif? Are you watching the show? Yeah, it's Sharif.
You're good now.
Yeah, okay, Sharif, you got. Yeah, I think you're watching a show. You just got to turn that off. And if you can you just speak louder because you're softer than like Quiet Storm, easy listening right now. So just try and add some volume to your vocal. And I think you got a TV on, bro. If you got a TV or YouTube on, you got to kill that.
How about now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the roster, and I want to break it down in terms of we know we've got our pieces in place. So I think I mentioned this to EM a couple of weeks ago. What would you do on first down with the San Francisco running game or with the Tennessee running game? And I'm just we've already looked at the schedule. Week 1 Patriots Bills. Regardless of what we think we're going to do, we've seen what this team has done week 11 to week 17, and we've seen who they've beaten. We've seen who we have. So what we've applied in the offseason, like EM mentioned earlier, and what we've brought in from the draft. By the way, Curtis Weaver is already entrenching himself into the Cuban community. That's good. That's good stuff, man. Curtis Weaver will be a beast in Miami. So, yeah, I want to just look into who are we gonna plug in. And by the way, the Dolphins drafted one of the fastest linebackers 3 years ago. His name is Jerome Baker. The purpose why the Dolphins drafted him is because they never could hold a tight end for 15 years. They could never hold a tight end. So that's the reason why they got Jerome Baker. I can tell you guys that. So we don't need to ever shop Jerome Baker or ever. And on top of that, he was appointed Mike linebacker. In order for you to remove Mike linebacker or Mike linebacker and plan to get rid of him, I don't know what you're saying as a coach. So I think I would never look into shopping Jerome Baker. He is our best cover linebacker. That is the reason why we don't have to worry about a cover linebacker anymore, because we have him. So I don't see Jerome Baker going anywhere. I see him improving in his linebacking signals and also improving in how he shoots gaps. Because he could have had like 10 sacks. He just ran past the QB. So things like that, I think he's going to get better because you have.
He's terrible in runs. He's terrible in runs.
He's terrible in run game. And also, Sharif, let me ask you this. This is the move that I think is going to ultimately make Jerome Baker,
expendable.
Expendable. Is Gruber Hill, that linebacker that New England drafted when Brian Flores was there. We drafted him in the 5th round, I believe, in 2018, and he was on their practice squad. Philly picks him up, and he was a free agent this year, and we signed him.
Right.
I believe he's a much better athlete than what Jerome Baker is. He's better in run support than what Jerome Baker is. Better in this scheme than what Jerome Baker. This kid is an ultra athlete. Jerome Baker is a very, very good athlete. This kid is an ultra athlete. So his presence on this roster, he can fill that role in terms of coverage that Jerome Baker currently has.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I think is what, and that would be my approach if I'm Miami. I'm trying to move off of Jerome. I'm targeting a 4-3 base team, and I'm shopping Jerome Baker because of the presence of Gruber Hill on his roster right now.
Yeah, our linebacker room is very strong.
So I think that's a realistic possibility.
We still got to figure out how to get Van Ginkel involved with how we stack this running back room, right? So
we still got Jonathan Ledbetter. We still got.
I think isn't Ledbetter?
They waived him.
Yeah.
They waived him.
Okay. But the thing about Jerome Baker is he was not drafted by Flores.
He's not a Flores guy.
He's not a Flores guy. He's not.
He was moved from outside linebacker specifically to hold tight ends to Mike linebacker, which is inside right or left linebacker. And you're the one really giving signals to the bottom 7. So I guess what I'm saying is what Flo probably looked in the linebacker room and said his most intelligent linebacker is Jerome Baker. Now, if you move off of him, Gruber Hill can step in. I looked at his tape. He reminds me more of I would say a poor man's Kuechly, because he gets his nose.
Who is that?
Luke Kuechly. He said a poor man's version of Luke Kuechly.
Who reminds him of
Gruber Hill.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because he plugs the hole. He gets his nose in the first level gaps.
And that's what they expect of him.
That's why. Right. If we all watched Tim Bowens and Darryl Gardner, we all saw how Zach Thomas just went into the A gap and tackled the running back. And before the running back could gain a yard or two. And that's what you really want. I mean, and if Jerome Baker can't do that, then Gruber Hill will.
I just think because of the the surplus of talent that we had in the linebacker room. Just that
he's very low on the pecking order because
exactly
through the draft and free agency, Flores has brought in his guys.
Exactly. And Gruber Hill he wasn't the head coach, but he scouted him obviously when he was in New England. So he knows the skill set, he knows the familiarity with the defense. And again, you just pointed that out about how Gruber Hill, how reactionary he is in terms of the engagement from the interior position. That's Jerome Baker's. That's the problem he had. Jerome Baker's first off, he doesn't have the profile to translate to on the interior of a base 34. Okay, he's not a natural middle linebacker anyway. So that's his problem number one. And so that's why he's moved on the outside, because you definitely not going to have him playing primarily because of his lack of size and girth and strength on the outside in the 34. So again, I just think he's out of place, and I think. When they got, because you remember Reason when we talked privately, I think it might have been on the stream, but it might have been privately. When we got Gruber Hill, we said, what did I say? Jerome Baker's, his time is up.
I noticed.
Because this kid, again, Jerome Baker's a very good athlete. This kid is an ultra athlete. He's a natural middle linebacker as well. So
I agree.
Just saying. I know Flores likes Jerome Baker, and I don't dislike Jerome Baker. I just been consistent since day one. I just don't think he's an ideal fit in this defense. He's just not.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look to move off of him, try to get something for him.
Let's look at his growth in terms of his body type. When he came in, he was only 221, and they asked, and he had three interceptions, and he had an interception for a touchdown on the outside with Gase, playing outside linebacker. His body type does not match what Flores wants him to do. He's still only about 225, 230.
Van Ginkel matches that well.
Yeah, he does.
I think
240. Based off the blueprint that New England has put out, they like bigger, stronger guys because of, again, the two gap concepts that they deploy within their scheme.
Yeah.
And guys that are smaller, short arm guys, they're not heavy handed. They don't have very good upper body strength. They do not last long in a scheme like this.
Who was their target last year besides Clowney? It was McKinney from Houston, and he fits exactly what you're talking about when they trade for him.
Exactly. That's a good point, Reason. When we traded for Jadeveon Clowney, I'm sorry, not Jadeveon Clowney, but Laremy Tunsil, Miami was adamant. Everybody thinks that we targeted Clowney. Clowney was not the player that we allegedly targeted. It was Bendard McKinney. Because if you go look, again, the profile alone, you look at him, the profile, that's ideal. What the profile that they prefer within this scheme. And, obviously he's had a high level of production since he's been in the league. And also Houston basically has the exact same defensive scheme that we deploy. So you got the familiarity with the scheme. So that's what they prefer. Look at Kyle. I think people thought when we got Kyle Van Noy, they thought he's going to be. They were thinking that Miami's plan was to play him primarily on the outside. That's not Kyle Van Noy's strong suit. I think he can play all positions, but I think he translates better on the interior. And look at his profile. Look at Raekwon McMillan. That's why they're so high on Raekwon McMillan. Raekwon McMillan is 245, 250. All of them. Vince Beagle, 245, 250. Van Ginkel, 245, 250. They like bigger, beefier, stronger guys because, again, they deploy these two gap principles. And you have to have
Curtis Weaver, who's going to be on edge.
Curtis Weaver
for us, right?
Strobridge as well. Look at their profiles. Look at their tape, and look at how good they're good with their hand usage. That screams two gap all day. Screaming two gap concepts all day.
Totally agree. And that's the best way you could break it down. EM breaks it down for us guys. Very, very. Hey, I think I see Dwayne Wood in here come in the backstage. But yeah, so when we look at Jerome Baker and the linebacking core and what we're looking forward to, I can now agree that I don't see a future here for Jerome Baker.
Yeah.
But my question would be to you, EM, Jason, Reason, and gentlemen here, who would be the speed linebacker to hold tight ends? Because we had a big problem with that for years, and fans were screaming, we don't have a fast enough tight end. We always saw balls go right over Zach Thomas' head, to the tight end, and we never alleviated that. We never fixed that until Jerome Baker, if you ask me. So
I think, again.
All right, sure. Hold on, EM, before you answer. EM's going to answer you.
Go ahead.
We're gonna take you off right now. Thanks for coming on. Just because I got a couple other people back here I want to get to, and we're already at the 2-hour mark. Thanks a lot, brother.
It's always a pleasure, homie. Always a pleasure. You're always welcome.
So EM, go ahead and give him his answer.
Yeah, in terms of coverage linebacker, I think that role, if you're talking primarily as a linebacker, I think Gruber Hill will be more than sufficient in that role. But I think ideally, what did I say earlier? The philosophy of the Patriots, a Patriots team, going back to Bill Parcells, to Bill Belichick, they like bigger, stronger guys in the front seven that deploys two gap concepts to choke out and suffocate the opposing team's run game to get them in third and long situations. And they like to put as many defensive backs on the field as possible. So again, that will be the approach. But in that scenario, you can take your pick on who they would choose, who they would designate to cover a tight end. You know what I mean? It could be Eric Rowe. He proved he's more than sufficient in that role last year. You can go, you can go Noah. You can put anybody. It's a matchup-based scheme. You can't just say, this kid or this player plays strong safety, so he'll just be matchup primarily on the tight end because of his position. That's not the approach that Flores in New England takes. It's all matchup based. It's all week to week based. And if they think Xavier Howard is a better cover on Travis Kelce against the Kansas City Chiefs, they will do that. Mm-hmm. If they think Byron Jones will be a better matchup on Travis Kelce or George Kittle, they will do that. Yeah. So we shouldn't get caught up in just based on positions, coverage, linebacker, coverage, safety.
It's all about matchups. Hey, Chad, you want to say anything else before we get to some other people here?
Well, no, I actually got to take off, man. I just wanted to thank you for having me on.
No worries, brother.
Man. I appreciate
Absolutely, bro.
You greatly, man. I look forward to coming on again, man. I really do.
Sure, brother.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely, bro.
Just give everyone a little history of what you told me in our DMs today about your history with the game in terms of you played, and then just give everyone a quick rundown of what you did in terms of as a writer.
Oh yeah, I played the game. I've mainly played like safety, wide receiver. Some things happened in the personal life. I had some scholarships on the table from a couple high-end universities. Had to pass it by. I had some interviews even with some NFL teams as far as when I got back into it, more of a coaching and scouting. And I have a pretty large family, so I got to support a bunch of people. So I kind of stepped away for a little while. The offer really wasn't there for me, and I came back recently. I've been the beat writer for Blitzalytics.com, and I mainly pretty much just writing like articles. And then I'd probably say two weeks ago, I decided to start getting into YouTube. So I hooked up with Reason on Twitter, and we started talking, and he invited me on tonight. So I greatly appreciate it.
No worries, brother. It's great to have you, man.
Very good. Absolutely. It's good to meet you, homie.
Guys.
Thank you, B.
All right, bro.
Thanks, brother. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Jason, you good, bro?
Hey, man, I'm on a gag order. I'm waiting for the green light.
Oh, go ahead. You say, bro.
I'm waiting for Reason to be like, Jason, go.
Bro, you're going to do whatever you want. Listen. What happened was everyone started talking over each other, and everyone was muffled, and I couldn't hear what anyone was saying.
Jason, sometimes you got to tell Reason to go, to go somewhere, bro. He tries to get that way with me as well, bro. You just got to ignore him,
quarterback at home. Slow it down. Quiet it down.
Yeah.
But listen, my take is this, and then I got a little instant message that I'm being a little too loud, so I got to lower it down. And I got about 5 more minutes until I got to help out with the kids. But my whole thing is this, EM. Am I a happy fan with how they have improved at the different phases of the offseason? Without a doubt. Mm-hmm. Do I give him a 10? I give him like a 9.2. All right? Mm-hmm. Maybe 1 or 2 things they could have done a little differently, but I give him a 9.2. Do I think that Tua is the right guy at quarterback? I think that he is. But what I want to see is him prove that he is the right guy when he's ready to go in. It's like I don't want to send my kid out in a car until he passes the road test, until I give him a good SUV or a good car, a sedan that will protect him. I'm not rushing him out there. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking at Tua. I'm not rushing him out there. I might be a little protective and overprotective of him. But if you're right, guys, if he's lighting it up in practice, and if everything is coming together like this miracle situation, I'm not going to say, boo, don't do it. Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? Am I pushing all the chips in the middle for that? I'm not. If I'm wrong, amazing. I'm just taking my patience. It's been 30 years I've been loving this team. And for 30 years I've been saying, this is the year, this is the year. I'm not saying that this time. I'm saying this is the foundation. This is the foundation. So this is year 2 of the foundation. And I'm kind of in real estate with my business, That's what I do for a living. it takes time to build a structure, and you can't bring in the tenants until you turn the heat on, until you get the roof fixed, until you get the pipes working. So once all that infrastructure is in, let's go. Let's make some money. And that's it.
Dude, and Jason, I said it before, but we're all in agreement with you. None of us want to see Tua in this year at all. That's not a question. We all agree with you.
I love Fitzpatrick so much. I want him to get a division. That's basically it too.
Me too. I love it, bro. It's good to see somebody that actually respects that man, because I tell you, you get a lot of.
I was the one who defended him all the time with you on the other platform. What are you talking about?
No. I'm not. No. I'm not talking about you. No. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you get a lot of people in our community, bro, that they have no respect for that man, what he did last year, and it's infuriating. Yeah, I love Fitz.
Hey, Jason, we've had to remind people in this fan base that Rich Gannon didn't come on until he was 36 or 37.
Exactly.
And he was a journeyman. He was a journeyman before he landed in Oakland.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not saying he's Rich Gannon. I'm just saying. So, Larry, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, guys, what's up?
Larry, what's good, man?
Everything's going okay. Can't complain. Just been listening to you guys. Just my thoughts. My thoughts. When he's ready, that's when you play him. Until then, you don't play him. That's the bottom line. When he's ready, when the doctors, and I will get a second opinion, says that if it happens again, it's another freak. It's not something that you expect, okay? Yeah. Another freak like that. That's number one.
Right.
I personally think he'll be ahead of the team. And I've said that before, what I mean by the team. I would not put him in there until the offensive line is sorted out. I wouldn't put – last year, part of the reason Flores pulled out Rose and people overlook is because the offensive line was so bad, he was being set up for failure. And the best hope he had was Fitzpatrick. And I know Fitzpatrick because I'm here in Tampa, guys. We saw Fitzmagic last year. But if this offensive line is better, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fitztragic. Fitz is one of those kinds that operate better on the helter-skelter type of offense that he does on a straight-up, everybody's doing their jobs, giving protection, and then his Buccaneer way of trying to do everything gets him into Fitztragic. But I love Fitz too. You gotta love him, okay? But anyway, one of the things I want to talk about real quickly is about some of the love I don't feel for Austin Jackson and Raekwon Davis out there. Okay, I went back and actually looked at the games that, like Buck Kuiper was saying, he was dominated. Austin Jackson needs work, but it's not a lot of work. The one thing I just saw, he had problems moving vertically with defensive end. Okay, edge rusher. Which
wait. What do you mean moving vertically with defensive end?
Well, when you're left tackle and you're going against Epinesa, right? Epinesa is going to try to rush you from your left-hand side, then cut into the quarterback. You literally got to move vertically and shadow him, okay, to keep him off there. Now, he does fine for the first couple of steps, but for some reason, he gets stuck. Okay. Now, Klatt was the one covering the game. Joe Klatt, he mentioned it's possible that he has a problem opening the hips too early. I don't know, but because I'm not an expert on line play, but clearly that was the main issue I saw throughout. It's one issue, it's a technique issue. Yeah, sounds like technique. He's hard-headed.
He's not that great at resetting his feet, too.
Yeah.
But that's part of it. Okay.
Yeah,
now, what I did saw, what I did saw was there, reports where he has his great recovery, and he was okay. So even though Epinesa was winning initially, but he recovered, and you know how it is, you just stay with him and push him away from the quarterback, even though you're beat. So he was able to save it quite a bit. You could see his mobility was pretty awesome in that regard. So it's not a lot. He could be day one starter and right off the bat be anything better than we had last year. Okay, that's not saying much though. I'll be honest. But
only one way to go.
Only go up. Exactly. Now, Raekwon Davis is the one that pisses me off the most about everybody. Okay, because the Mel Kipers of the world, who I don't respect, and unfortunately for Mel Kiper, there's video out there that can verify or disverify what he says. And I did my homework. Okay, let me explain what happened. As a sophomore, Alabama played a 4-3 defense, and Raekwon Davis's job was to rush the passer, and he was great at it, shooting the gas between to get at the quarterback. His second and third year, clearly Alabama went to 3-4 and then telling Raekwon, you're going to be my nose tackle. Forget about pass rush. Literally, you can see it in the game. You're not going to go after the passer. You're going to go after the center and the guard, and you're going to tie them up. And if not, and push him back. And he was fantastic at that job. No wonder why Brian Flores is so happy.
Oh, yeah.
Because what I see is this is a perfect hybrid.
Yep.
Tackle for Flores. When he initially goes 3-4, then go 4-3 for passing situation, you got your pass rushing defensive tackle there.
Yeah.
So this is my. I don't make predictions, but I say don't be surprised if Raekwon Davis outplays the Javon Kinlaw and Derek Brown. Don't be surprised. Run defense is ahead of both of them. Okay, but he does have pass rushing skills. He has a great swim move for a defensive tackle. Go back to his sophomore year. Go back and look. He was awesome.
And Larry, I think that sophomore year, here's the problem. I think that's what, like, and we don't. You know, me and EM have loved Raekwon since pre-draft. One of the guys. But I think the problem is the 10.5 sacks have like haunted him, because now every year people were expecting that without understanding what you were saying, because what me and EM were saying is we think a lot of people in the media are down on him because they look at sacks as a sexy number instead of realizing this guy's arguably one of the best in the run game in the whole entire draft. And people are matching that up with our scheme and seeing of what we're going to ask for that kid. They're saying, you're taking a kid who he had 10.5 sacks a couple years ago, but hasn't come anywhere close to that production. Well, that's not what we're going to be asking him to do.
Exactly.
Right. Hey, I'm sorry, I lost my thought there. Oh, yeah, you know what? I always told you what I think about sacks, right? It's the most overrated statistic in football. Give me a person that gets a lot of pressures over sacks any time of the week. You know what? A lot of the sacks, by the way, I love this. I created this terminology, right? A lot of sacks that Austin Jackson gave up is what I now call Taco Charlton sacks.
Cleanup sacks?
Taco Charlton sacks. Do you guys know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't be his guy. It's the other guys didn't do their job, and the quarterback fell into the sack. A lot of those sacks were exactly that against those guys.
Cleanup.
Go back. Don't believe me. Don't believe Mel Kiper. Go back and look at the tape for yourself. Okay, you'll see that. Like the 2.5 sacks he gave up in the Holiday Bowl, 1.5 for Taco Charlton sacks. The sack he gave up to Aquara, the only sack Anai, the only sack he gave up was a Taco Charlton sack. Otherwise, he dominated Anai in the game. So, okay. So, guys, I have my say. And, if you let me sit here, I'll talk all night with you guys. But I know you got other guys to talk to. Okay. So, I see Havik is rating. That's the first time I heard from him.
Yeah, Dwayne.
Nice meeting you, Havik, when you go back in. Bye, guys.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
That was awesome.
You guys got any, Jason, EM, you guys got any thoughts on what Larry just said before we get to Havik and then Dwayne?
Well, he hit it out of the park.
I'm 100% in agreement with him.
Yeah.
His evaluation on both players was spot on, bro. Spot on. So
I got nothing to disagree with. But before you bring anyone else on, EM, I gotta hit the road. But I want to thank you guys both.
What?
Reason, EM.
Man.
No problem, brother.
Thank you for everything. I appreciate it. And I'll leave with this. We're gonna be okay. Give me a couple of years until I'm booking the trip to wherever the Super Bowl is.
Before you leave too, Jason, I want to let everyone know in the comments, get used to Jason, because he is going to become an integral part of this channel as we move into the off season and beyond. We got some ideas in place for the off season that we think you guys are going to like. You guys, if you want a good read, I want you guys to Google Jason Sarney, Preston Williams, and Pro Football Network. Go find his article. He also has one on Nick Needham as well. Fantastic reads. This Jason Sarney was one of the first people in the Dolphins community and in the football media you see on social media and everywhere. He was one of the first guys calling out what Preston Williams was going to turn into, and as well as what Nick Needham was going to turn into. So he knows what he's talking about. Go check out those articles. They're definitely worth your time, guys.
I definitely agree with you as far as Nick Needham. I was high on him as well, bro. So yeah, great minds think alike.
Thank you for that, guys. I'm not going to say anymore. Listen to reason.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on.
You guys are the
All right,
best. Thank
All
you.
right, bro.
Look forward to
Be good,
seeing you
man.
guys a lot more. Have a
Of
great
course,
night,
bro.
everybody.
Have a good one, Jason. Havoc, what's
Hey.
going on, brother?
What's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's going on, man?
You know, I really, because we've talked a lot about 2020. I kind of just want to talk about kind of our place right now, because we're in a really great place right now. Right now, we're about to coast to the end of the first phase of a rebuild. And we're about to glide into the second phase of the rebuild, because there's some franchises out there that can't get out of the first phase. Cleveland has been in the first phase forever. Detroit has been in the first phase forever. We're about to glide into phase two. When they picked the guys they picked, and particularly Greer and Flores, they're gem finders. They're going to get guys in the UDFA. They're going to get late round guys. They're going to get great value from these guys. We're about to glide into the second phase, which is probably going to be not necessarily 2021, but in 2020, about halfway through the season, we're going to see where Fitz tragic or Fitz magic. Which one is it going to be? We're going to see, what we're going to get from Josh Rosen. If Josh Rosen can impress, can we flip him, get some more picks? Maybe, who knows? But I really feel like I just want to leave on a positive note that we haven't had this feeling in a while, where we're like, we're building young, we're building the right way. We have a lot of faith in our management, and going forward, they're aligned. It's not the coach and the executives or the coach and the GM, they're not lined up. Greer and Flores, they're super tight. They were at New England as scouts at the same time. They are connected. And I think together they're going to lead us to the right place. I really feel it. But as long as we don't ship out Tua too early, I think he's the golden goose in this whole arrangement. Everything lies on, is he the blue chip of blue chip prospects that everyone says he is? If he is, phase 2 is going to look real nice, because phase 3 is the playoffs in the Super Bowl. And we're about to glide in the phase 2 after having the worst, talent-wise, the worst team last year. We're probably around middle of the pack if everything kind of culminates out the right way. That's my 2 cents on that.
I just want to, before we answer you, 2019 Miami Miracle, what does Rosen have to do to get us a first in a trade? He needs to perform a miracle. So he needs to do what your team is basically done. So, but yeah.
First? Wow.
Yeah, he needs a couple miracles maybe. He maybe needs to walk on water too. But Havoc, I agree, man. We put ourselves in the position that I've talked about this. If you look at the 2021 draft, people might not believe this yet, but you will by the end of the season. The 2021 draft is deeper than this year's wide receiver class, and that's a crazy thing to think about. We have put ourselves in a position where we've plugged holes. Where if you really look at our team, what do you look at? You look at next year we might need a right tackle, because the Hunt experiment might not work and he might be suited better as a guard. We're going to need a safety, right? But we put ourselves in a position where we could go a Jalen Waddle in the top 10, and that's totally fine, because we don't. And then we got 2 picks. Then we could go get a Javon Holland, from Oregon, and get that safety. Or if that Texas pick is high, we could get a Penei Sewell from Oregon as that tackle shift into right tackle, and then we could go get a Jalen Waddle or a Devontae Smith or a Travis Etienne with the other pick. Like, we have positioned ourselves with this free agency and with this draft alone where we do not have a ton of holes to plug in, and it's really looking like it's a couple holes and then depth, nothing but depth.
Yeah,
so,
it looks like, particularly this season, we've built out the trenches, and that was the theme of the draft, and that was the theme of the organization here, is build out the trenches. And then going into 2021, we're going to have a whole team of dudes on their rookie contracts, or dudes who are UDFAs on very favorable contracts, and going into 2021. I mean, there's the guy out there from Florida State, Lars Woodby, super hard hitter at safety. Sewell, you brought him up. He's going to be the number 1 pick. He is a long, pace type of prospect at the left tackle position. 2021 is going to be the fireworks, but right now we're just laying on the foundation, and we don't need to get so bottom of the schedule and who we playing this week and what's going on, because injuries are the ultimate variable. But you just need to follow the process, and that's what they've done. They drafted following the process. They're getting their guys in, so you can just plug them in, plug them out whenever we need. And things are looking real optimistic because I'm telling you, Flores and Greer, they're connected. They're connected, and they are on the same page. And they're either going to lead us to the top together, or they're going to lead us where we already know together, which is mediocrity. But I'm very hopeful for the future, I will say.
What's your? I'll let EM ask you a few things, but just let me ask you, what's your prediction when you look at the schedule next year?
It's going to be rough from the jump, and that is to be expected with so many rookies. Yeah. And I think the undrafted free agents are going to have a big impact as well. But what I've seen, which is very reminiscent of how Flores is coaching and his general vibe with the players, it took the locker room a while to buy in last year. This year is going to be a whole different story. I think we're going to make a late run, definitely. Now, is it going to be at the 10th game of the season? Is it going to be at the 14th game of the season? Are we just going to, like last year, kind of last 5 games, we were giving people the business. We didn't win all the games. We were giving people the business. When is that run going to come? Because I know it's going to come together at some point. If you're looking at the record, we won 5 games last year when we had the talent to win 3 games. Mm-hmm. Realistically, 7 should be the floor. If we get to 8 or 9, we should be, throw the parade. But for me, I think 7 is the floor for 2020. In 2021, when we got Tua in, the offensive line is gelled up. The defensive line is gelled up. We have the high-end draft picks. We're going to flip a couple picks, get some premier guys in. At some positions, we need premier guys. We have good rotational guys, but we don't have a lot of premier, all-pro projected guys. 2021 is going to be that year. And I feel like, 2020, just looking for progress. Yeah. That's all we're looking for is progress.
I agree 100%. I think 7 wins should be minimum should be the expectation.
Yep.
But I guess I'm a little more optimistic in terms of the schedule. I think I'm looking at the first 5 games, and I'm looking at the teams from a matchup standpoint. I just don't see really only one team what they can do offensively matched up with our defense. But again, what did I say? It's all about the improvement in the run defense, as well as if we just get average in the run game. But we match up extremely well. None of these teams, if you look at the first 5 games, New England, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, how can they threaten us on the perimeter? Really, be honest with you. What team that can threaten us consistently enough to where it can change our approach on how we defend them?
I think,
what team?
Yeah, I think at that point, we have the talent. It's just a matter of assignments. It's a matter of picking it up. And that's why I said, talent-wise, I think we can hang in there, especially if you look at
I agree 100%.
Schedule. If you look at the bulk of the schedule in the middle, we're playing a lot of 500, mid 500, a little bit above 500 teams. Mm-hmm. So, it's really just a matter of how quickly can these rookies get on their assignments? How quickly can they get in the system? How quickly can they all be cohesive as one unit and really make this thing happen? Because they got the talent, and they're going to get more talented next year.
And the fastest way to get that, I can see Miami, just their approach in the offseason, in the free agency and the draft. They're going to run the football. They're going to lean heavily on running the football, okay? And their approach would be in terms of the additions they got on the edge with 2 edge players and Kyle Van Noy in the middle. They're gonna their approach will be to prioritize stopping the run game. And how you gel, in my opinion, from an offensive line standpoint, the fastest is you lean on that run game. Because generally rookies transitioning to the NFL, where you see the problems, the majority of the problems is when you put them in situations where, they have to in pass protection, and they don't see the different looks that an NFL team, an NFL defense can present them as opposed to what they saw in college. It's all a mental thing. So I think, but any rookie coming into the NFL, if they're strong, if they put that consistently on tape at whatever respective schools that they played in, if they can play in a phone booth, if they're good with their hands and they're strong at the point, day one, they should be able to do that, translate. I mean, it should be a seamless transition in that aspect of their game. So again, the players, based off the profile that they brought in, they seem to be implementing this, again, gap power scheme, phone booths based approach.
All the interior guys are phone booth, and then Hunt and Jackson are guys who can get to the next level.
Exactly. So I don't anticipate. I think scheme alone. I think now again that is a concern, having 3 rookies on the offensive line. I get that potentially, but again, I think they're going to lean, because I think they're going to improve dramatically. I think we're going to see a dramatic improvement based off Eric Flowers, Ted Karras. You know what I mean? Just those 2 additions alone, we should see immediate improvement, tangible improvement immediately out the gate in our run game. And all we need is the rookies to, Austin Jackson, Hunt, and whoever just to follow suit. So it's just last year.
A lot is going to be on Karras, EM. Like a lot is going to be on him to get, because the center is basically your field general on the offensive line.
Exactly.
And a lot of him, like he's going to be helping a lot of these guys out with their assignments and stuff. And EM, the thing I like too is, if Solomon Kinley, I kind of don't want him to win the guard spot, because I would rather have Jesse Davis at guard next to Hunt, and I'd rather have just like Eric Flowers next.
I agree.
To Austin Jackson, those veterans, make your life a little bit easier, right?
I agree. And just the communication, those 2 veterans from the 2 veterans with Davis and Eric Flowers and Karras, just the communication alone is going to improve. Remember the consistent breakdown we saw on the offensive line last year in pass protection? I'm glad they mix and match. They brought in athletic young guys, but they did bring in veteran guys that have seen it, been here, done it, seen it. And again, the communication, again, back to your point about Ted Karras, he's primarily responsible for the communication, over the offensive line. So I don't think we're going to see the consistent breakdowns that we saw last year, the consistent leakage. I don't think.
Anything else?
Again,
go ahead.
Well, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, bro, I just don't think we'll see the, in terms of that aspect of the consistent leakage on a week-to-week basis. So hopefully.
Anything else you want to say, Havoc?
Yeah. I'm about to get out of here real quick, but I just want to say, particularly with the O-line, Kinley said in the interview, I'm a mauler. I'm an inside, zone run guy. Hunt is a mauler. Yeah. These guys are going to get it together, particularly on the run. I'm not even worried about the run, to be honest. But just going forward, just look for progress in 2020. Don't get too hampered up on the schedule. Don't get too hampered up on, we got to win, the Bills, the Jets. We're going to sweep the Jets. But, what are we going to do? It's making progress. The O-line getting a little bit better every day. Austin Jackson, is he going to turn into that guy? Maybe not a super Pro Bowl guy, but is he going to be that consistent starter anchor guy for us? The future's looking real good for us, fellas.
That's all we need is a B. That's all we need is a B+ guy, B to B+ guy. That's all we need.
All you need.
And that's what I said, Havoc, earlier. I said, at the end of the day, I'm not looking at the schedule in week 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I want to see progress on the offensive line, and I want to see progress on the defensive line. I want to see progress in the trenches by the end of the season, where next year I can look back and say, okay, I saw a lot of good things by the end of the season. This year is the year where I could see 12, 13 wins. I want to see that. So I'm with you. I'm looking more for progress this year than I am at the record.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I just want to thank y'all for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. You know,
absolutely, bro. You always welcome, homie. You always
stay
welcome.
good. What's up, D Wood?
What's up, Havoc? How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, brother, man.
All right.
Hey, y'all be good.
You too, Havoc.
All right now. D Wood, what's good, homie?
Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Thanks for being patient, brother.
Hey, no
Awesome,
problem.
bro.
I was thinking that maybe y'all were backed up, so I was like, you know what? I'll allow some other people. But when I saw you put it up again, I said, okay, I'll come on out, you know, do my thing. But
what's on your mind, homie?
The schedule breaks down very friendly for what the Dolphins want to accomplish this year, which is give growth and to certain players and experience, but at the same time set them up for team success as well. So, and I mention that because you only have one cold weather game, possibly the Buffalo's game at the end, and since you have the Denver game and the New England game early in the schedule, you don't have to worry about playing in severe snow. So that was a good thing that I saw. Another good thing was that in preparation for the Seattle Seahawks game, the Dolphins have a Thursday game that'll allow them to have 10 days rest and a short travel to get prepared for Seattle. So there are things in the schedule that provide some elements that will help the Dolphins be successful. You also have the fact that even though both the Jets and the Dolphins have a bye the same week, they're playing each other, and they'll both have the same the way the film breaks down, what 3 games you can have. They'll have a majority of the film on the Jets and be able to make those improvements or changes more easily because of the fact that it's a familiar opponent, and you're playing them basically back to back, even though there's a week in between. So I thought by looking at the schedule for the Dolphins, it broke down well for them. They have to. I'm a little more optimistic, but they have to win at least 6 or 7 games at home. Okay, now there are some tough road games, and I see the Arizona as a tough one, and I see the Raiders and San Francisco as some tough road opponents because of the travel. The fact that they get Seattle and
what about the Bills? What about the Bills week 17 in Buffalo?
Right, I mentioned that. I mentioned that earlier. That's the element that I was talking about as far as only having the one cold weather game.
Yeah.
So the schedule breaks down friendly than previous schedules.
Yeah,
for sure. And the fact that they don't have to go to the West Coast twice. I mean, Arizona, yeah, but they're not going. They don't have to travel to San Francisco and Seattle and the Chargers. So you don't have 3 California games. You only have 1. Well, you could have had 3. So you take the bitter with the sweet, and I'm looking for improvement, as Havoc said. Maybe I'm a little bit more optimistic. I tend to look at things half full rather than half empty, but I'm really looking forward to this season.
So how many wins do you see when you look at this? Because you are right. When you look at it, like, when have you seen us have a 3-game homestand in December, and then our road game right after the homestand, we go to Las Vegas, which is warm weather. So December is like ideal conditions. So when you look at the schedule, what do you see?
I see
losses.
I see 10 wins. I see 10 wins. The way the schedule broke, I see 10 wins. And with a little luck, maybe more, but the difficult games for them that I see, besides the normal difficulty of playing in an NFL game, the situations that I see that are going to present a challenge to the coaching staff is the 49er game, is the Kansas City Chiefs, the Raider game, the Broncos, and the away game at Buffalo. Just because those 5 games can determine whether you are 10-6 or better, or 7-9, and so those games are twist games, especially when you think about the fact that 49er game is your first real physical test of the defensive line. That Broncos game is your first real challenge for the whole entire secondary because of what Denver has done with respect to adding talent and speed at the wide receiver position.
People are sleeping, Larry. I said this at the beginning. I said they got KJ Hamler, they got Jerry Jeudy, they added that to Cortland Sutton, and they got Melvin Gordon, and they made a 1-2 punch with him and Lindsey. I think people – and, Drew Lock looked really good when he took – it looked natural from when he took over. I think people are sleeping, and that defense is no slouch either.
So
I think people are really sleeping on this Denver team, man.
You think he looked really good, Reason? Come on, man. That might be a little stretch. He
For a
looked
rookie,
all right.
For a rookie, he
looked all right.
Good, man. For a rookie,
He looked all right.
I expect him to take a bigger step forward this year than Daniel Jones.
I just don't look. I look at these inexperienced quarterbacks.
Than Daniel Jones.
Exactly. That's exactly why.
And look. But here's the thing: you can have all
got
the
Noah
weapons.
Fant at the tight end. He's even got a
Listen,
decent tight end.
I agree. He's got they have definitely upgraded. But I look at his ability to consistently. I'm looking at, again, from a matchup standpoint. I just don't think teams are going to be able to beat us primarily from through the air. I don't think Drew Lock will be able to make enough plays, with his arm to beat us.
And Gordon,
I just don't see that. That's why I said everything. And Dwayne pointed out those 5 teams. Those teams do concern me as well because they're heavy run-based teams. That's how teams, I think, that's my biggest concern. Again, I love Raekwon Davis, but I just wish we would have selected a veteran presence in the middle on the interior. But again, we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But those are heavy run-based teams that he highlighted, and that was my when I got on the stream tonight. That's been when I saw the schedule, I was like,
you didn't highlight the Bills. I was the one who had to highlight Devin Singletary and Zach Moss.
Well, no. I'm not. Well, excuse me, 4 teams because I'm not really that concerned about Buffalo. But
the thing
I just want to say, in 5 starts, Drew Lock went 4-1 for 1,000 yards, an 89.7 passer rating, 7 touchdowns to 3 picks, and he had a 64.1 completion percentage.
Who did he play against? What were the teams that he go against?
The Chargers, Houston, Kansas City, Detroit, and Oakland.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, those teams that I mentioned, the fact that they added speed to an already existing solid run game, that's going to be the challenge because now you're expecting both the defensive line and the secondary to come through on come through and beat their foes, where it's not just one facet of the defense that has to do something. And I know that in every game, all three facets are expected to do their jobs. But when you have the challenge of both a strong running game and speed on the outside, and with as many weapons as both the Raiders and the Broncos drafted, and with the weapons that already exist with San Francisco and Buffalo, as far as the run game and speed, those are the 5 teams that are going to determine whether the Dolphins are 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, 10-6, or 11-5. So
yeah, because the Raiders were a playoff team until Josh Jacobs went down.
And the Raiders are concerned because of their offensive line and the presence of running.
It's pretty good.
They're concerning, but again, I just don't.
We can beat Derek Carr though.
Yeah. But I just don't think teams I am really that high on our secondary. I just don't think teams are going to be able to with the exception of maybe Kansas City. I just don't think the quarterbacks that we're going to be facing are going to be able to make. It all depends on how good we are against stopping a run. But I just don't think quarterbacks are going to be able to sit back there and consistently beat us with their arm, because the window it all depends on what version of Xavier Howard we're getting. If he returns to that 2018 form, I'm telling you, man, I think the secondary will be in the top 3 to 5 all year long. And it's going to be extremely difficult for opposing quarterbacks to consistently make plays with their arms enough to where that's a decided advantage. You know what I'm saying? To where they can beat us. I just don't see it. If we are consistent in stopping a run, I just don't see it.
That's where the sub packages come in with the safeties and the linebackers. The Dolphins, until proven otherwise, the Dolphins have been weak at covering the tight end for the last 2-3 years. The Dolphins have been weak covering the slot until they made the move to put Eric Rowe in. But can he do that again? So those are the two question marks, and that's why I've mentioned those teams, because they have the ability to put speed at the number 3 receiver spot to be able to challenge the safeties and make it hard. So it's not just about Xavier and Byron. It's about the whole entire secondary. But you do bring up some valid points there, EM, regarding the time. And if they're in a 21 formation, they may not have the time. But if they're in a 3 wide receiver set, there may be some issues.
Well, I mean, Dwayne, but you talked about the Raiders. Henry Ruggs, that guy can eat you on the boundary, or they can throw him in the slot all game, and he can just eat you in the slot. And I don't think we have a guy on this roster right now in the slot that can handle Henry Ruggs.
But again, reason what they have. What did Brian Flores consistently come out every week last year? And you look at what their approach was in terms of just secondary. It's a positionless approach that they take. It's all matchup based. So you can't. So when you sit here and you say,
I just said I don't think we have someone in the secondary that can match up with Henry Ruggs. I said
I don't
think so, man. I think
Byron Jones.
I don't think he has the speed.
Byron Jones is not.
I think Henry Ruggs is going to be a big time problem. I think he's going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to be a big time problem.
What about Igbenogany?
I mean, I don't think we have anyone that can keep up with that 14 speed.
Could Noah match up with Henry Ruggs if he's playing the slot?
So I was going to say this earlier. I went back and because I'm a Gators fan, so I went back and I watched the Gators game today, Gators and Auburn, and I watched Noah up against Van Jefferson specifically. And Noah had, I think he had 4 pass breakups, and he didn't allow a touchdown. But this man Whoo, the hand. He is very very handsy. So they lined him up in the not in a good way, bro. They lined him up in the slot.
I know.
Yeah, dude. They lined him up in they lined him up in the slot against Van, and then Van just beats him, and it's a blatant grab. The very next play, they line Igbenogany on the outside. So what did they do? They line Van Jefferson on the outside, and he beats him on the outcut to the point where all Igbenogany can do is just grab him and spin him around. And I'm thinking,
I saw that as well.
If we're gonna running a lot of press man and we're gonna have him gain his instincts in the slot. If I'm the Raiders, man, I'm lining wherever Igbenogany is on the field. I'm lining Henry Ruggs up. I'm trying to get that matchup.
But you know what?
And I think he'd eat on X because I think X's pinching would be a problem. I think Byron Jones would be your best option on Henry Ruggs, 110%. But the foot speed is what would worry me with that because I've said it before. Henry Ruggs does what a lot of wide receivers at his speed can't do, and that is Henry Ruggs can play at 4.2 speed, and a lot of receivers who run 4.2 can't play at that speed, but he can, and that's what scares me with him.
But I agree. I agree with your concern. But I think Byron Jones. You're talking about his play speed and what he timed. He was timed 4.28. Byron Jones was clocked in the low 4.3s. So I mean, really a second.
Well, Henry thought he could have. Henry had an early run when in his practice where he ran like a 4.22 or 4.23 when he was prepping for the combine. So,
but you got to look at a lot of things, though. This kid, Henry Ruggs. Even though I think he's a lot of people, during the leading up to the draft process, and we talked about this privately, a lot of people were sleeping on his ability to, his route running ability, and I just don't think. I'm not saying the kid won't come in and be productive, but I don't anticipate him coming in and having a Randy Moss-like impact on the league. And especially, again, Byron Jones, just look at the receivers that he's had success with over the years. I mean, the best of the best, and he's just totally erased them. Even Xavier Howard, if you go by his Pro Bowl year in 2018, when he's matched up on people are sleeping on Xavier Howard's ability to travel as well. He was our number one guy.
I think it's the fact that we're now in knee surgery and a knee scope later.
Well, yeah, again, that's why I said if he returns back to that 2018 form. But again, I think overall, I'm not saying I would match Noah up on anybody's opposing. I don't think we'll see that, only unless Byron Jones falls to injury or Xavier Howard. Need them either. You won't see them two locked up man to man and traveling with the opposing team's best guy. In theory, you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But in the event, I think they're more than capable of covering the third best wide receiver and the fourth. I like that matchup. I really do. Mm-hmm. So, again, I'm not saying Henry Ruggs is not a concern. He's not a concern. But, again, there's a lot of other things that go into the –
He's also a concern for me, EM, because I look at him as, if you get the run game going, and you got to start, and you can't. You got to count.
That's what I said.
Henry Ruggs out running around. That's where the problem is going to lie. A lot is based on how we are in the run game this year, bro.
Everything starts in the middle.
That is everything. That's exactly what I just said. That's exactly what I just said. I've been saying that all night. It all starts with the run game. Period. Because you can't get teams. If you can't get teams in third and long situations, you cannot implement these quote unquote exotic packages where you see 6, 7, 8, 9 defensive backs. You can't do that. Yeah. You just can't do that. So
I know you guys plan on doing a roster show. So I'm gonna save my comments for the roster to that show.
Tomorrow night, we're doing that. We're having we're gonna do basically players that have been put on notice after the free agency and the draft. So we're gonna be taking people in the audience coming on. So I already told you on TDs, come on because you were already talking about that, and maybe you could ride for most of that show with me and EM.
Yeah, because I'm not even gonna say any more on that. I'll let you guys do that. But
spoiler alert.
The only other thing I'll say about the schedule is that the the way that the bye, it's been a long time since the Dolphins had a late season bye.
Yeah.
So usually they've had them. I mean, there was a season where they didn't even have a bye because of the weather, and then there's been times where they've had them as early as week 4, week 5. This was nice to have one week 11 where you're tired, but you're not beat up enough where you can't press on. So they should be ready for a push after that bye, and that push acronym is press on until something happens. So they should push on until they get to the success that they and Flores wants them to have. That is going to be a good thing for the Dolphins to experience, that having that bye that late in the season. And if they can be in a situation where they have already experienced a large amount of success, it would put them in position for some good things for Dolphin fans, for Fin fans to experience for the first time in a while.
For sure.
You know, that's what I'd like to see, because I know that there's a lot of people who haven't experienced the continued success, you know, but it's coming. It's coming.
Absolutely.
It's coming. And don't be in a rush to put Tua in for the game against the Bengals. If he's not starting, don't start him just for that game. Okay. And the same with Rosen. If Rosen's not starting the game against the Cardinals, don't start him just because it's the Cardinals. Do what's best for the team.
You better tell that to the next team that he's gonna be playing on, because he ain't gonna be on this roster at that point, bro. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't see him being here, Dwayne.
I really don't.
Past the trade deadline, I really don't.
I really don't.
You know what? If they are going to trade him, if they could get a 5th or 6th round draft choice, that would be good, considering the fact that he has been salary cap friendly, and he also had provided some backup for the year and change, and whatever knowledge he could and would pass on to Tua would all be beneficial. And even though some people think that, okay, well, we traded a 2nd round draft pick for him and we didn't get much, you know what you don't want, and you learn that as well. Yeah. So
hopefully they can pull off another miracle like they did with the Charles Harris trade. For them to get a 7th round pick for a player that gave you nothing in 4 years. Oh my God! You got to tip your hat to them.
And didn't have to, do anything with his option, and got the salary off of the books.
You got to tip your hat to him, bro.
That was a good thing. You got to tip your hat off to Greer at that point, and there were a lot of things that happened previously with the organization that, although Greer was entitled GM, he wasn't really the one who was making all of the decisions, and a lot of decisions he had to rubber stamp as far as being the GM, but those were Tannenbaum and or Gay's decisions. But now you're starting to see his ability as a GM come through in situations like this, all that we just talked about. And again, not being impatient with the Albert Wilson situation, waiting until after the draft and after all the UDFAs have signed to go into negotiation, and after the free agency, the first wave of free agency, so that a lot of the premier spots have been filled, and then renegotiate from a position of strength rather than a position of where Albert Wilson had options to go to other teams, whatever the case may be. That was a thing as well to save.
You look at this with Albert Wilson as well.
$8 billion. I see that they already know here as well that you got the bus ticket ready for Rosen, and you had it Taco and for Charles Harris. So you got two of your
spoiler alert.
So you almost getting the trifecta.
Hey, Dwayne, real quick though, about that. Back to Albert Wilson, real quick though. I think what people are losing sight of with Albert Wilson is that them getting him to restructure his deal. Now all of a sudden that contract is tradable potentially.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's extremely team friendly.
Yeah,
so that's something to be paying close attention to as we move forward as well.
And that trade may come through. That trade may be as a result of whatever people you choose to talk about tomorrow. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Exactly. Spoiler alert. Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Dwayne. Make sure to come by tomorrow night too, brother.
Yep, y'all take care. Much success to you.
Yeah. Make sure you come through
on
tomorrow,
your way out. Hit the like button on the channel.
Respect, Dwayne.
Absolutely, baby. Absolutely.
Go in the chat.
Always.
I want to say something in the chat, Dwayne, because I want to make you a mod of the channel too. EM, I just got to ask you before we get out of here. Do you feel slighted at the amount of, the lack thereof, the amount of primetime games we had, and the one primetime game we had,
bro. Yeah,
against the worst team in the NFL?
Yeah, I saw that, bro. I was very, very disappointed. I said, "Damn, I saw the Raider game is yet to be determined, so that might they might flex that one and turn that one into, primetime. But who knows? But one game, bro, and against the Jaguars, bro, that's so disrespectful. Absolutely, man. I'm definitely feeling some type of way about that, bro. So we just got to roll. I saw this year though we have more 4 o'clock games than we have in the past as well. We've got 5 or 6 4 o'clock games.
Yeah.
The lack of respect. But don't worry though, it's fine. I don't want anything given to us. We're just gonna take it. We just gonna have to take it, baby. So it's all good. I ain't doing no trick,
brother.
In that regard.
If this was 2021, that Bengals-Dolphins game would be Monday night. 110%, because they know what they would have on their hands.
Oh yeah. So,
and look at that, man. Look at that Raiders game is still to be determined, and you know what the NFL is hoping. If Tua's on the stage, we're putting that in a pretty good slot probably right now.
Oh yeah.
We're not the only ones noticing how. Hey, EM, did I not go on TD's channel and say months ago that we are going to draft the most marketable player in the NFL? Look what's happening with the jersey sales, man.
Number 1 with a bullet. Number 1.
Bro, at least we're winning something right now, right?
I got to be honest though, homie. I really do. I'm gonna have to, scale down my anticipation for Tua because I'm starting to lean towards the fan, the fan base, those fans that they're so eager to see him and they want to get him out there. And I need to pump the brakes a little bit because I can't wait to see this kid on the field, bro. I really can't. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. But I need to pump the brakes a little bit and just let the process play out. Okay, let him get 100%, 150% healthy. And but I really do want to see that kid on the field. I want to see what we have, bro. I cannot wait till he gets on the field. So
I like it. And you know what the thing is, Ian? My subjective opinion is I don't want him to play at all. But my objective opinion is he's probably going to see the field. You know what I mean? So, I don't want this guy seeing the field at all. Yeah. But You got to look at it from a realistic standpoint. Let's look away from the fact that, guys, I don't know if everyone out there knows, but Tua Tagovailoa is front and center on season ticket holder packages. He's got the top 2 selling jerseys in the NFL. Throw all that aside, if he does what we expect him to do in a Chan Gailey RPO heavy offense, he's going to look like the best quarterback or just as good as Fitzpatrick in training camp. And that's not a far-fetched statement to make.
I agree 100%. I can, and that's why I said earlier when you made your point, that is very realistic. That scenario, very realistic. So, I definitely, like I said, man, I want to see him on the field, but I just want to see him. I want the Dolphins to take that Kansas City, the same approach that they took with Patrick Mahomes, that Kansas City took with Patrick Mahomes, as far as implementing him into, integrating him getting him on the field. So hopefully that scenario plays out. But again, reason, if he's healthy, if your doctors give you a clean bill of health and he's lighting it up in practice, in training camp and practice, he's clearly head and shoulders above everybody else. How can you not play him? You can't live in that world of, of fear that he might get hurt. Quarterbacks get hurt. That's what they do. Football players, guess what? They get hurt. That's part of the game. You cannot live in that area of fear that, I just don't want to take that, I just don't want to put it out because I don't want to. No, absolutely not. Now, if you want to sit him and you want him to learn the game from the sideline, you want to take that approach, I get it. But my point with Jason was that I assume, and I might be wrong, my assumption was that his whole thing with Tua sitting was coming from a standpoint of he was in fear of him getting hurt. And I might be wrong for misinterpreting that. But I'm just addressing that fan base because I've seen a lot of people post a lot of things about sitting him in fear of him getting hurt. No, if he is completing his rehabilitation and your doctors have given him a clean bill of health, bro, and he is clearly head and shoulders above everybody else, man, you put him out there because it gives you the best chance to win.
And that's what
gives you the best chance to win.
I wanted to say this, EM, and I totally forgot to, but I'll say it now. You really think Brian Flores is going to put him on the field if they aren't 110% confident in his health and his body? I don't see them doing that. Like if Tua is just killing everybody, and it is that if there's that much of a separation in terms of him to everyone else, and they give him a clean bill. I'm just going by what Flores is, what he said. I'm going by what his philosophy is. I'm quoting him. We put the best 11 guys out there, and you go back to what he brought Fitzpatrick
said
back
as well.
And why did he bring Fitzpatrick back? He put Fitzpatrick back in because he gave him the best.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he gave him the best chance to win. So I could see them. I'm telling you, but it all depends on Tua's development. I don't think the health so much will be an issue. It's his development. But if he's lighting it up like that, bro, man, and he clearly is head and shoulders above everybody else, I just don't see how you don't put him out there. I just really don't.
Sith Lord, our doctors actually did get in there and give him a physical directly. I believe, was it in March in Indianapolis, right, EM? I know our doctors got in and gave him a physical directly. The NFL allowed us to get our doctors in and give him a physical. So we actually did give him a physical.
What was that last comment? What was that last comment you had on the screen?
I just clicked on it by accident. You're right. And Rhino says here, I disagree a bit. I just think Fitz is the unquestioned starter to start the season. And I said earlier,
I agree.
Rhino, we said earlier, we think no matter how good Tua looks, Fitzpatrick has earned the right to start game one. It's if you start seeing 3 losses in a row, 4 losses in a row, but the O-line is good, or if you start seeing we're in a good position, we're in a winning position, and Fitzpatrick gets hurt, we're 8-3. You think they're going to roll with Rosen, or they're going to roll with the guy who looked really good in training camp and who their doctors hypothetically have given a clean bill of health? They're probably going to lean towards Tua. in that scenario. We're not saying they're right or wrong. We're just realistically, objectively looking at how a coaching staff is going to handle that, because I know Jason didn't agree with it. He tried to argue it, but I don't care what anyone says. The one thing you don't have in the NFL is time, and especially if you're winning.
I agree.
So
and again, like we said, expectations are upon us. As much as we don't want to start that narrative, but based off what we did last year with the lack of talent that we had, that created these not necessarily huge expectations, but that created a level of expectation alone. So they're here, bro. And Flores, they have, again, based off what came out of his mouth, we put the best 11 guys on the field.
Yep.
So we'll see how that unfolds.
Hey, they're not lying. You just have to read between the lines, guys. Like, what did they say about? I go back to this quote all the time. What did they say, EM, when they talk about the tape tells us who a player is, and that let me and EM know they're taking Tua. You know what I mean? They said that to basically read between the lines, and EM's right, man. If we're in a position and we're looking good and we are even battling it out for a wild card, they're going to go with whoever gives them the best position chance to win. And guys, whether Rosen's on the roster then or not, I don't think they're going to see that leap in his game where they're going to be confident enough. I'll also go as far as saying this. I would not be surprised, guys. I would not be surprised. I would not be shocked if our three quarterbacks halfway through the season are just Jake Ruddick, Tua Tagovailoa, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think people are really sleeping on the fact that Jake Ruddick could arguably be Josh Rosen's biggest competition on this team, not Tua Tagovailoa, because Jake Ruddick has had NFL game experience when he was with the Lions. So, and guys, if I'm going to lose, if I'm 3-8, and now I'm not putting Tua in, I'm just running with Ruddick. I'm not going to run with Rosen, because if I could have got a 6th or a 7th, more than likely putting him in on behind a 3-8 team, I'm going to be lucky if I get a bag of footballs by the end of the season. So, that's just where it is with him. And that's my evaluation of Josh Rosen today. That's not, they come out in the training camp and blow all of us away and show Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and be a totally different person. Anything's possible. Like, wings could pierce out of my shirt. I could fly away on live stream. Anything's possible. But I just, realistically looking at it, I don't see it happening because I see the same issues I've seen since UCLA. But EM, anything else you want to say? Because we're running at 3 hours, guys. We are going to be back tomorrow night. I'll let you guys know in the middle of the day on Twitter what time we will be going live at. But EM, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule, and I might be a little more optimistic than the next person. But I'm telling you, Reason, for real, bro. I am encouraged by how the schedule unfolded. I'm telling you, I am, and I'm not. I don't want to sound.
They were on our side for December for sure.
Absolutely. I don't want to sound like a 100% fanboy, but bro, I'm telling you, based off what we did, the offseason we had, building upon what we did last year, this offseason that we had this year, I'm telling you, man, 7, that should be our expectation, minimum.
That's what my expectation is, because if they get over 7, I'm going to be pleasantly surprised. So I'm just setting it up.
So again, if we're in that, wind up being an 8-8, 9-7 threshold, bro,
that's a win. That's a massive win to me.
And that'll get us in the playoffs. Yeah,
I think 9-7. I think 9-7, you got a realistic chance of getting in there, man.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, Dolphin fans, I'm telling you, there's a lot to be. We should all be ecstatic right now. We should be just, man, the season cannot get here fast enough. So again, bro, I like our schedule. It's really only 3, maybe 4 teams that I'm not in fear of anybody, but it's only about 3 or 4 teams that there's a high level of concern there, and there should be, based on how their teams are constructed, because I look at everything and evaluate the schedule from a matchup standpoint, and I just don't see. I see maybe 4 teams that concern me. So, but again, we should all be real happy. with the schedule, especially the second half of it. How they looked out for us in terms of the amount of home games we get consecutively. The second half of the year. So
I gotta ask you this: doesn't the fanboy in you and the evaluator of Tua just want you to see him go out there and just pump Herbert, and then go in week 13 and just pump Joe Burrow, and just make a statement that I'm the best quarterback in this draft and no one's even close?
Well,
oh my God.
Well, I wanted to start with Josh Rosen first, because I'm telling you, issuing and printing out that bus ticket for that young man is going to bring a lot of gratification to me, because of the ridicule.
The debates we had.
Exactly, because of the ridicule that was spewed in our direction last year on TD's platform. That alone right there is going to, I'm telling you, man, I'm going to feel so good about that.
Can I say this, EM?
Mm-hmm.
We were right about Tua. Trust me, guys, we'll be right about Rosen. It's only a matter of time. Okay? So just remember that, guys. I was telling you months before the draft, if Tua's there at 5 and we don't got to trade up, you better get out there and start ordering your Tua Tagovailoa.
You bet. And absolutely.
Here we are, guys. He's got the number 2. He's got the one top selling jerseys out there. So
absolutely, man. Absolutely, 100%. So
we hate to tell you we told you so, but we told you so.
We told all of y'all. You had to endure a year's worth of ridicule, criticism. Call it what you want to call it. I'll tell you, it is extremely gratifying sitting here before y'all today, knowing and observing all these people that's got nothing but egg all over their face right now.
Yeah, especially,
I'm telling you.
Especially Herbert guys, man. I tell you, bro, they're another thing. Pyro Manser decided to tweet a bus emoji.
Spoiler alert.
Infinite Trauma says, I'll drive him to the airport. There you go.
Airport? What are you talking about? You can get on no plane, bro. Bus station. That's all he's getting. He don't deserve a plane ticket.
Yeah, he don't even deserve coach up here. Maybe if you can take him into the luggage department and we don't have to pay, cool. But
maybe I'll put him on Spirit Airline. Maybe Spirit. Maybe. So
$29 anywhere to
Maybe.
Oh,
wow.
That's classic, bro. So guys, we've been going for about 3 hours and 15 minutes. We didn't expect to go this long, but we had a lot of great people on with a lot of great opinions. Shout out to Jason Sarney, big time. We got some big plans for you guys with him in this off season, and then heading into next season, we got some great things on the horizon that we've been discussing. He's going to be a very big part of this channel. So get used to him, guys. He's a great guy. He knows his stuff. Go read his articles on Pro Football Network about Nick Needham and about Preston Williams from last August. And I want you guys to read that and see how this man was spot on about those two players. I know, when I first started talking with Jason, and he told me about the Nick Needham thing, I told him about EM. I said, yeah, my buddy, you two are the only people I know that called Nick Needham. So it's great to have people like that who know what they're talking about, especially when it comes to talent evaluating up on here on this channel. So guys, we're going to be back tomorrow night with basically players on the roster that need to look over their shoulder after the draft and after free agency. I've already started my list, and I think I'm already at about 8 or 9 guys. So it should be decently long by the time we get to tomorrow. And guys, I'm not going to do guys that we all know are going to end up on a practice squad. I'm going to do names that were starting last year or were on the cusp of being a starter. I'm not going to talk about a bunch of jabronis that we all know are going to be on the practice squad anyway. But EM, anything else you want to say? I know we got your Edge evaluation show. EM said he wants to finally get it out next week, so we'll be getting that out for you guys. But anything else?
Y'all know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Y'all be safe out here.
Fins up, everyone, and stay healthy, stay safe. We appreciate you all. And before we get out of here, I just want to give a shout out to our boy Fake Spike, who's always coming through EM massively.
Man, that's what's up.
He came through with a $20 donation saying, "Reason EM, I like the show tonight. I only need ESPN now for Miami Dolphin highlights because we're providing the content over here that fills his need."
That's great. That's greatly appreciated, homie.
Appreciate
Really
you.
appreciate
And
it.
Big Spike,
Absolutely.
Big Spike, Rhino, George.
All of y'all jump in the screen so we can see y'all. We can see you guys, man.
Y'all need to hop on a little bit more. Let's
Absolutely.
get you guys on here. You guys,
Absolutely.
a lot of you, George and Rhino and Infinite Trauma, you guys have been here since day one when we had 20 people only watching us, and now it's much better. But guys, we appreciate you. We love you all. Thank you for coming out. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you know what time we'll be going at tomorrow once me and EM coordinated. But we hope you all stay happy, healthy, and safe. Fins up, everybody.
Fins up, baby.